Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live and the first round of the 2017 season for the DGFX Racing Series, powered by Sim Experience, here from Interlagos and round 1, Brazil. Richard Whiteford joined tonight by Jimmy Broadbent, and qualifying is just under wraps here at Interlagos as our prototype field is set, the GT field and our Porsche GTC fields. Jimmy, Brazil, 3 hours, tough track, big field, going to be a great race.
Interlagos is just one of those places that really suits multi-class racing. You wouldn't think so with all the tight infill section and the fast sweeping corners, but it really shows the skill of different drivers in terms of traffic management and of course managing to keep the car alive through the 3 hour stint.
Certainly does, of course, and we have got, I believe, our pole sitters set at the moment for this one as the final minutes wind down. We have Fusion Racing on the pole for your prototype field, with Fusion Racing Blue in second place, Torque Freak Racing Sunset in third. Down in your GT field, it is currently TNT Racing Gold with Hammerdown Racing GT3, and I believe AOD Racing GT in third place. We head down to our Porsche field and we have Vendaval Sim Racing White with Blackstar Racing GTC and SimRC.de Melon in third place at the moment. We'll go through those full results when the session is finished, as the clock is winding up now. Jimmy, just a quick one before we go to that grid. Got a message from our sponsors at Sim Experience.
Do indeed, and this is presenting AccuForce from Sim Experience with unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market. The AccuForce Pro steering system is the only complete plug-and-play direct drive force feedback wheel for sim racers. So check it out at simexperience.com, and at simexperience.com without the E. So very important, you won't get there.
Absolutely important. Always drop the E. Especially if there's a policeman looking. Definitely drop the E. The checkered flag is out on our session so far, so we're going to head to your starting grid. On pole today for your prototype field in the Honda ARX 01s is Fusion Racing with a time of 1:21.297. Starting in second place, Fusion Racing Blue behind them by about half a second. Torque Freak Racing Sunset, they are in third place. WR Racing is in fourth with Simatok Auto Esport in fifth place. German SimRacing.de's 152 car is in sixth. Samba Racing Team Bushfink Racing Yellow, AOD Racing HPD, and German SimRacing.de in 10th with their 151 car. Rest of those results for the prototype field on your screen as we head down to GT3. TNT Racing Gold on pole with a 1:30.307 for them, with Hammerdown Racing starting alongside them in second place. AOD Racing GT in third, with Team Vikings Midgard in fourth. Fifth place goes to 49 Motorsport. Sixth is German Sim Racing. Seventh, V-Apex Racing Group GT Red. Eighth place is Graphite Racing Blackadder Motorsports 4 GT in ninth, with Sweet Spot Racing in 10th place. About a second back from your class leaders, down to your GTC category with the Porsche 911s. Vendaval Sim Racing White with a 1:32.131. Blackstar Racing GTC in second place. SimRC.de Melon in third. SimRC.de Strawberry, very fruity at the moment for those boys, in fourth place. Work in Progress Racing Reds 22 is in fifth. Team Bushwick Racing Red in sixth. German SimRacing.de 255 in 7th. Torque Freak Racing Radiation, or Radillion, even, in 8th place. Blackadder Motorsport 69 and German SimRacing.de's 256 car in 10th place. Rest of those results up for you on the screen as we get ready for going for this one, Jimmy. The grid is huge here. We have 60 cars starting today's 3 hour race, and, well, it's Interlagos. We're going to see some yellow flags today, we think.
A massive field, and as you see from our prototype qualifying, fast lap round here in the low 20s, so when you have a 1:20 and 60 cars on field, traffic is going to be a constant thing around here.
It certainly is, and what a huge field we have today. Some big names in these teams, some big teams on our grid, so of course it's going to be a great position to be in here as, well, we wait for our grid to be set for the pace lap here at Brazil. Jimmy, of course, cars getting ready now for that kind of half lap pace lap we have set now. How do you start a lap here at Interlagos, and how do you avoid the center S's? Probably one of the biggest danger zones on this track.
I mean, it really depends where you're starting here. I mean, we say that qualifying isn't really important in an endurance race, but I would actually say Interlagos, it does, you know, there is a little bit of importance to it, especially at the front of the grid, because then you can sort of choose your position going to T1. If you're mid-class, if you're midway down the field, and you'll have to deal with T1 as well as having 3 or 4 cars around you, things get a little bit more hectic, and that's where you get accidents coming in. I imagine, obviously, we have a very good race control here and a very firm set of rules that we're going to see a nice clean start into T1. But as you said before, 60 cars going to center S's, you know, logic says that shouldn't go.
Logic and history say that's not going to go, Jimmy, as we've seen many, many times before, of course. But we have a great field of drivers here, expecting this to be a good, clean start here to kick off our 2017 season. Of course, any favourites amongst these teams?
I've just had a quick look down the field, and obviously Fusion Racing is a team that we know, so they're the guys on pole currently in the HPT team as well, and TNT Racing Gold as well, also in pole in their respective class. These are sort of names that you come to hear in endurance racing, so they're people to keep an eye on, of course. But this is a 3-hour race, as we go to say, and 3 hour maybe not quite as long as your conventional endurance race, but still enough time for things to go right and things to go very wrong. So it's not about being overall fast, it's about being consistent, and that's what they're going to be aiming for today.
Fast and consistent, Jimmy, there with the insight from an endurance racer himself. And, well, 3 hours around this place could feel like 12 hours at Sebring or 24 hours at Le Mans. This track is fast, it is undulating, and with traffic and a short lap time, there will be no room to breathe or relax. Going to watch the cars head up now through the latter part of the lap. Only a handful of corners now before we will go green. Our 3 fields separate themselves out, led by Fusion Racing, TNT Racing Gold, and of course Vendaval Sim Racing White. TNT Racing Gold, Hugo Preto behind the wheel, of course, there. Fantastic driver in this one, but going to get these fields underway in separate fashion, and we'll see them doing just that in a moment. HPD field coming out the final corner now. They'll be making their way up towards the start-finish line, and the field will be in command of Fusion Racing, of course, for restarts here and starts. Leader has control of going in the acceleration zone, but there is no passing on the single file restarts from this point forwards before the green flag flies. So, field under the command of Fusion Racing and Peter Smith at the wheel of that ARX01 car as we head up towards the start-finish line. Great potential for a fantastic race tonight as the green flag does in fact fly, and we're racing here at Interlagos. Prototype field getting a great start, although Torque Racing dropping back there just behind Fusion Racing. A bit of a wiggle early on as they would go through the first corner. Prototype field doing so with exactly the sort of professionalism we expect. GT field going as well behind them, and the green flag rolling very nicely for these boys. They head down through the center S's for the first time. No major problems for them. Your GTC field behind them are on the way through. Just coming across the line now, led by Vendaval Sim Racing White. A fantastic start, Jimmy.
A good start there from the Fusion guys up front, keeping their first and second position respectively. It's a good start from there. Of course, there's an interesting thing to note is that the GTC field and the GT field are actually quite close together at the back, so we'll keep an eye on that as it progresses. Just keeping an eye on Fusion right now, leading away from their sister car. Going to drop back to the GTs and see what's going on there. Looks like the AOD Racing GT has found its way up into second place, taking Hammer Down Racing just at the start there, so that's a good start from them. Griffin Racing in the car of that Mercedes AMG SLS there, and it's coming up to the back of the Audi in front. Of course, we've seen the Audi on track before, usually sort of the safe pick for a lot of people, but the Audi at the moment proving to be a nice consistent car as they make it around the first lap. Fusion Racing still leading the way at the head of your GT field. Coming up from a little bit of pressure though from the Torque Racing Sunset cars. There's an interesting way of setting up the car around here, because you have the mid-section which is all about downforce, and the first and third section, which actually benefits you more to have a lower downforce setup. So looking back down the field, still I'm looking at WR Racing. This is the 917 car, looking at the inside of the Simatop car. This is for 4th place on track. Side by side going to the braking zone. David Toranzo in that Simatop car, not giving up until getting on the apex, goes wide there, and that's WR Racing there up into 4th position. So action all the way so far And this is pretty much what you expect in these sort of races at the start. There's a lot of people trying to run for position, but you have to be careful. There's a good mix between pushing and being safe, and it seems at the moment that we haven't had any instance to speak of as of yet. I have a check-in with our GTC field, which is currently being led by the number 9 Vendaval Sim Racing white car, the Black Star Racing GTC. Hot on the heels though, Kim Eriksson at the wheel of that car. And something interesting that I noticed in qualifying is that the tail end of the GT field and the top end of the GTC field are actually not separated by that much at all. There's only about half a second or so between it, so this could be interesting when it comes round to lapping, and of course if there are any slower GT cars on track. Behind the 76 car we have the Sim RCD Melon car and Strawberry both running together, so I haven't seen these guys out on track, Melon and Strawberry, before, so it's nice to see the Sim RC car expanding. Behind them of course is the well-known Team Bushsink team, 237 car, so that's Mika Uhisuk, the winner of that. So the top 5 in the DTC field covered by just over a second at the moment, so nice intense racing at the start.
It certainly is, of course, Jimmy in the field at the moment, having a great run here. No major incidents so far that we've seen. The cars all managing to get round, of course. We have about 4 laps at the track of the length we see here in Interlagos, Jimmy. How difficult is it being in a prototype class car when you come up on closely packed GT cars like we're going to see here?
I mean, you just have to be patient, really. I mean, obviously we're in the mindset of Peter Smith here, who's currently leading this race. That traffic does come on very quickly, but it's not something to worry about until you get there. I mean, told our GT lead is hotting up, and it is indeed with Griffin Racing, we just mentioned before, looking really fighty in that AMG Mercedes coming right up to the back of the TNT Racing Gold car coming through turn 7.
Yes, he is, and getting right under the gearbox there, trying to keep that car in a straight line here, of course. The twisting, turning nature of this track, lots of camber changes, Jimmy, making it very difficult for these guys to really get on the back of someone they're chasing.
It is indeed, and especially coming through that hairpin there at the bottom, you really want to try and get into the groove on the inside of the corner, because that's where all the speed is. A lot of rubber down on the track as well. You can see the track very well worn in here, so the track probably at its fastest at the moment during the race. It's only going to get faster as rubber is put down throughout the race. And as I was mentioning just before, setup is a big thing through here. Of course, you have to really opt to have a fast car through the middle section or through the second section. And we're going to see now what sort of setup this AMG has going down the straight as it tucks into the TNT Racing Gold car for the 6th stream. Oh, Rachel.
We have our first penalty. It's a 007 with a drive-through penalty
GT leader
for jumping the start. And that is, yes, your GT leader, TNT Racing Gold. Of course, for the start of the race, of course, in future, on the restarts, they are allowed to go in the acceleration zone. There might have been some confusion there for your pole sitter, who thought that was the situation, of course, but unfortunately, he went in that time frame when the start of the race, Jimmy, is on the drop of the green.
I was just watching where that message appeared. It seemed to have, I think, distracted Hugo Prieto, who was actually leading the race. He then went a little bit wide going to T1, nearly ran into the wall on the pit straight, actually, which allowed the AOD Racing GT pass. So he's actually lost the position already, but he has, under the rules and regulations of this, that team has 5 minutes to appeal that decision, whether they think they were wronged or not, and I'm sure the team will be in contact with race control at this point, because obviously we're talking about the lead of the GT field right now. But if there is no defence to give, then he's 5 minutes and he'll be serving that penalty. So that's now heavy on his mind as you see him going wide, going through the hairpin.
It certainly is. In fact, he's behind one of the other GT cars at the moment. That is, I believe, the 667 Mercedes of AOD Racing, who've taken the lead from Hugo Prieto there in the TNT Racing Gold machine. So he's dropped back to second place already. May well have to serve that drive-through penalty. And that will cost him, Jimmy, quite a significant amount of time here on Interlagos pit road. The exit very slow, and of course that is a tricky part we need to talk about. The pit exit here at Interlagos is unique.
It's definitely something that requires practice, but I'm going to very quickly pop back to our prototype leaders. It all bunches up now, as you said, Rachel, we're coming up to the first of the GTC traffic, and there is a bunch of them as the Fusion Racing Blue car has a look at its sister car. Thinking better of it though, because I think if he tried that he would have actually spun the car in front, which would have been the worst thing you could do is hit your teammate when driving out there. But look at the Torque Racing Sunset car right up behind now the lead 2 cars on GT traffic. As here comes the WR Racing car in a bit of action as well. You see, this is the interesting thing. You have to try and be decisive with your traffic. If you're hanging around, if you're not making decisive moves, then that's when someone behind you is going to take that advantage and put their car up the inside and maybe take a position. But you can see just how much that closes the gap back in again now. So that's the beauty of Interlagos. You're never safe, not for a moment.
Absolutely not. And we'll keep our eyes on Peter Smith here, your prototype leader in that 59 Fusion Racing machine. heading up the start-finish line right now, of course, getting through your GTC field. We talked a little bit before the broadcast, Jimmy, about these GTC Porsche 911 Cup cars, and we looked at the times they're doing. It's actually fantastically interesting to see how close they are to your GT3 field in terms of pace. Of course, Vendaval Sim Racing White, your pole sitters, with a 30.
Oh, big contact, Rachel!
Oh.
Big contact of the WR Racing car. I think got held up there with some traffic just to get a replay of that. Yeah, got tagged going around the outside of a GT car, and that is our race done. Flipping,
that could be a caution
rolling.
For us. That could be a yellow flag for us, of course, as they are off the racing track or will need to be recovered by safety workers. And that was the, I believe, one of the Porsche 911 cars, as caution has flown, as we said it would. And that was the 911 car from your Porsche field. I'm looking up who that was right now. That was KPR Sim Racing, who just tracked out from the corner and tagged that prototype of WR Racing. Full course caution in effect for the first time here at Interlagos on lap number 6. Jimmy?
At this point, the teams are not allowed to pit just yet. Under the regulations, I've just noticed that WR Racing has gone for the tow to the pit lane. Under the regulations, you are not allowed to tow to the pit lane unless you have confirmation from race control. So I imagine that's why he stood at the side of the road for a minute. You saw him try to get the car back rolling again, but I think the damage was just too, as I expect to be after that crash, is too extreme, and that is him out of the race, which is a massive shame for WR Racing, because they were running very high, running in 4th place. They're looking very competitive, and have their race ruined this early on is a bit of a shame. But you're seeing now, I think we're actually under virtual safety car right now because they're on the pit limiter.
I think we could be seeing that, of course, maybe needing to try and catch up to your leader. I'm not sure if these guys are too familiar with yellow flag procedures, but they're going to have to catch the pace car if they actually want to, use the pace car. It's one of those, of course, features. We don't expect them to be on the pit limiter just yet. Fusion Racing, your leader, is currently about 100 miles an hour, so he's cruising. He's trying to find that pace car, I think. Something they'll have to keep in consideration. But Jimmy, rounding outside, tracking out from the center S's, that's not a place you want to go round a GT car. It's somewhere you want to go underneath one.
It's a difficult one to do, because as a prototype driver, you look for any opportunity at all to get past a slower traffic. That's just wired into you. And there, I think that you have to take into account the GTC Porsche doesn't quite have as much downforce as the prototype, because turn 3 for a prototype is flat. There is no question. Not so much in a GTC car, and of course that GTC car is always going to run out wider, and that's what happened there, and that's why the contact happened. Although at the same time, you could argue that I think that the Porsche would have been aware the prototype was there, so in that case it would have been up to, I think, the Porsche maybe to get off the throttle a little bit and comply and make the move happen, because even if the prototype's being a little bit pushy, if you're the slower class and you can avoid a crash, then there's no reason not to.
Certainly not. Of course, the safety car has picked up our field here at Interlagos, and that's a point to make, of course, Jimmy, at this stage, that the pace car will not always be picking up your race leader in this one. They'll be picking up whoever they get to first, and as they have done, I believe they have picked up I think that's the 30 car or the 90 car I'm looking at. It's actually the 933, I think. 935, one of your Mercedes cars in this field. The 993, we're being told, has been picked up by your leader. That is Road Bar Stewards Black. Obviously, they work in a pub. That's what I'm going to be saying for the entirety of the race. The Road Bar Stewards Black are currently your picked up leader. They are not class leader, but this is where they are in position. So, of course, this is the benefit of the safety car in endurance racing, Jimmy. Anybody who is a lap down that's ahead of your actual race leader will get to wave around at this point, which is potentially fantastic for them to gain positions back.
It's good in that case, and also it keeps the class separate as well, which is sort of nice when we come from a restart, because the last thing you want to do when you're a prototype is to start in the midst of a gaggle of GTs, because that just isn't going to work for you. This is what's happening right now. Is we have race control in one ear here, and we can hear that the cars are being waved around. So that's happening now. I was just noticing though that the field really concentrated up on the straight. A couple of cars happened to take avoiding action on the main straight there because people were slowing down so much, but it seems to be back underway again now, and hopefully we'll be green shortly.
Hopefully, indeed, we'll be going back to green in about another lap. We think the way this is going, as cars are being waved around your roof pace car there on the track. And how amazing, Jimmy, of course, here to see these Porsche 911 GTC cars going past that roof safety car, and it is still, of course, the Roof R12 safety official pace car of iRacing. And we're seeing a generational change here in what the sim is providing for, of course, you, the users, and motorsports fans. That's what we used to drive. We used to drive that roof car. Now iRacing has the official license for Porsche, and those are 911 GTC cars.
I mean, we had this conversation before the race started that it's going to be a really awesome insight for us as commentators to see how these Porsche 911s compare to the GTs and how they do pace-wise. We said already around here they're actually quite fast, these Porsches, but not as quick in braking as GTs, as the chat has confirmed as well. That so it's an interesting obstacle as a GT and not a GTC driver having to make your way around that. You see now, just Peter Smith being picked up by our pace cars. The rest of the field has been waved around now, so hopefully going back to green shortly. But again, just going back to the Porsche, I've been around iRacing for a long time, and to see that iRacing have finally picked up a Porsche, obviously who were a bit of an elusive brand. Now they're here in iRacing. Hopefully many more cars to come from that brand.
Absolutely, that's something we all look forward to, of course, and we'll have a quick look at your top fives in every class before we go back to green. Of course, at this stage, your leader has been picked up, Fusion Racing there behind the safety car. So this, of course, is a benefit to everybody else who gets caught ahead of the leader, as I believe the safety car could be coming off this time by. Looking at it, no, the lights are still on top of that safety car, so we're going for another lap at least. But at the moment, it's Fusion Racing from Fusion Racing Blue and Torque Freak Racing Sunset in third in your prototype class. Simatok Esports and Bushfink Racing Yellow in fifth. Down in your GT category, AOD Racing GT with TNT Racing Gold, NAB Racing, Hammerdown Racing GT3, and in fifth, Samba Racing Team. Your GTC field, however, is SimRC Melon, who are actually right up the order there. I think they may have actually dropped back now looking at what position they're in. Vendaval Sim Racing White, Blackstar Racing GTC, SimRC Strawberry, Team Bushfink Racing Red, and Torque Freak Racing Redillion there, Jimmy. So a little bit of movement so far in these first 5 laps before the caution flew, but we are going yellow for another lap. Hopefully we'll get back to green next time by.
That's what we expect to see. And while we have a quick lull in the race, and just a quick message from our sponsor, which is Sim Experience in this league. SimVibe by Sim Experience is an advanced multi-dimensional audio-based feedback software that utilises 1 to 8 bass transducers, better known as butt kickers or bass shakers, to provide the correct physics-based vibrations at each corner throughout your simulator. So check that out at simexperience.com. Again, drop the E with that, so simexperience.com. So then, just waiting behind the pace car now. This is a little bit of a moment for drivers to chill out. The start of a race, especially like this at Interlagos, where the classes are so close together, it can get hectic and it can get quite difficult as a driver. It can almost be overwhelming. But at this point, Peter Smith and that Fusion Racing car, the lead Fusion Racing, is a Fusion Racing blue car in this event as well, which is currently in second place. Just having a moment to calm himself, I imagine, as we make our way up to turn 6. A corner at turn 6 is one of those corners that you never really do properly, in my mind. It's a corner that requires a lot of patience and a lot of skill to get right, and that's where we're going to be seeing a lot of I guess conflict between the classes, because your HBD has that downforce and can take that corner substantially faster than the GT field. So when we're seeing traffic around there, as a prototype driver, you do not want to be caught behind a GT car coming up to that section. So I'm sure yourself, Rachel, I think you do a bit of multi-class racing, don't you, at some point? Have you ever driven the slower cars around it?
Yeah, it's certainly a difficult track, and this is one of the things you have to really think about, Jimmy, as a GT driver around these sort of tracks with multi-class conditions, is you need to track out a lot more than the prototypes do, and as you as a prototype driver, we'll have this discussion on air right now, of course, as you are a prototype driver, I'm a GT driver, I need all that road. My car hasn't got the grip your car has. I have to go all the way out to the exit curbs and track out as far as I can to keep my speed up. So tucking that car in doesn't really work, which means the lines are very different. And at a track like Interlagos, here we are, there's a lot more variety. Corners switch back on each other, so the lines are changing constantly, which makes getting through traffic here so hard. And it makes being lapped here much harder. So your eyes have to be on a swivel at this track.
We're just seeing a replay from the GTC car, I think, of the start from earlier on. So just an interesting perspective there, change from the start of the field. You see how close the back end of the GT field these GTCs were right at the start, and we are going to be going around, I think, for one more lap of caution if my memory of the regulations holds true, as we have them up on our right. So again, now the cars are all where they need to be now. You spoke about the prototypes, of course, having to try and find lines around here. I mean, as a prototype driver, I understand downforce better than I understand mechanical grip, and that's something I think you should do, and it's a luxury we have in sim racing, that you can go and drive the slower car around the circuit. You can go and find out how much road it needs, where it understeers, how it feels, you know, on edge, because the HPDs are a lot more agile at high speed, a lot more manoeuvrable, but when you're on the limit in a GT car, you are taking one line, not really much you can do about it. So that's something I think all HPD drivers should be should do at some point to improve their attitude towards lapping.
Of course, that's going to be a major factor from a track like this, Jimmy, of course. Such a tight, short lap here. Not a lot of width on the racetrack as well, and that's something we do see here, of course. This is a very narrow track.
It is a narrow track, but it's part of the appeal of Interlagos. You know, it's a track that's steeped in history, of course. It has changed quite a lot back from its original conception. The older Interlagos was a very scary track indeed. This one, still very difficult, still a lot of skill to be had here, and of course, like I said, that turn 6, that fast right-hander, probably one of my favourite corners in sim racing, an off camber over a crest, 5th gear corner or so. That's a prototyper's wet dream right there. But this is the again, we've mentioned this before with traffic around here, especially going through the slower stuff as well, because in the slower stuff, I mean, we have a difference with the prototypes at high speed, that difference is pretty clear, but in the slower stuff, the GT cars aren't that slow, so that's where it gets difficult passing around here, especially right in that middle section with the hairpin.
Certainly can, and well, we'll be seeing the cars heading back to green. I think this time by the lights are off on the safety car, so expect Peter Smith to be leading Fusion Racing back to green this time by. And this time, Jimmy, the acceleration zone is in effect.
It is, so a little bit of a better getaway here for hopefully the Fusion car. I'm still waiting for the green to be called, as just making our way up slowly now. You can see this is where it gets difficult for a driver when you're sort of asked to come back off the pace after a pretty hectic start. Although we spoke about Fusion Racing before, they're a known quantity in iRacing and in the Endurance Series as well, so I'm not sure this is going to be something they're worried about, but interested to see what sort of gap we have between our classes. Let me just check.
Let's not forget, behind them, some of these classes are a little mixed up on the racetrack, so this will make things interesting, but we'll keep our eyes on Peter Smith at the moment. We are expecting that pace car to be pulling off this time by. They are on the final run up the hill here. Single file restarts are in effect for the series, so they'll be going back to green flag racing here. And don't forget, you cannot pass the car in front of you before the green actually flies, so that could be something the race control will be watching very closely for potential penalties, as the pace car will take that left turn onto pit road. Field under the command of Peter Smith as the green flag, as he goes just a second there before the green flag flies in that restart zone there, Jimmy. Back to racing on lap number 11 here, and we are 24 minutes into our 3-hour event.
That's a good restart there by Peter. Sort of caught his teammate napping a little bit. The 60 car under pressure now from the Talk Freak Racing Sunset car driven by Jack Robson. He's going to have a slipstream now coming down to turn 3. Let's see if we can do anything with it, shall we? So here we go with Jack Robson. No, not quite close enough to put him up the inside here, but see the restart there being very good for the Talk Freak Racing car. A little bit further down, the Team Bushfink Racing yellow car sort of got caught napping at the start there, so he's sort of in a bit of no man's land. That's the worst thing that can happen at the start, when you're sort of a little bit, you're not concentrating as much, you've been going around yellow for a little bit, and then the green flag flies, and you lose the position straight away, so very, very difficult to keep that in mind whilst going on the caution.
One thing we are going to see, of course, Jimmy, is that the first section of corners, the centre S's here, infamous corners at Interlagos, should not be quite as disastrous with single file restarts on these cautions. So as we have a car off the track already, it's one of your prototype cars. We're going to try and work out who that is.
Berlin Sport.
That is
127 car.
127 car. We'll try and get a replay of that for you, as we saw them come off the track. Jimmy, take us through it.
They're just going through their turn 7 and just put it loose on the inside. It's very easy to do that, try and get on the throttle going downhill. Car went to the right instead of going left and into the wall. So I don't think that car is too badly damaged, but probably a bit embarrassing. We have a slow car going around second to the last corner. I'm hearing contact as well. A couple of cars off.
So GT cars hitting behind them, actually. I believe that's one of your other prototype cars there. German Sim Racing's 153 car. We'll have a look at what happened to them as they are stopped waiting for traffic to clear, that this might cause us a... Oh no, it's contact between two prototypes as the German sim racing car hit by the 62 machine there of Samba Racing as they go through the final section of corners there, and he ends up off the track as he has to jam on the brakes to avoid coming across the front of some more cars. Good safe racing practice from him as he does get himself going again. We will not have another yellow flag, but the contact's a little heavy right now, Jimmy. Things are getting a little bit frantic.
Yeah, I don't know about Alexander. I think actually staying still was the worst thing he could have done there. He should have just... and no one seemed to react behind him. Everyone seemed to go for the racing line as if he was not stationary. So a little bit poor there from the field, I think. I think Alexander also should have got moving a bit quicker. We also have a fight in the GT class for P2. This is between the Hammer Down Race GT3 car and the German Sim Racing.de car as well. The top three in GT car separated by only about a second at the moment after this restart, and of course the 667 the Audi racing car leading us off after the 00 car got a penalty at the start for the jump start, which it has since served. See, it's way down the field now, a long way, pretty much within the GTC traffic. As you can see, coming down into the second to last corner there, that's you see how far they go out on the right there. That is allowed under the track limits in this circuit, so you can go very wide there coming into the last corner and get a nice fast exit going up the hill, which is very important. Peter Darling in the Hammer Down Racing GT car and the slipstream of the SLS in front, sorry, the AMG in front. Might have a look up the inside now, a little bit far back. I think he does a sensible thing. Long race to go yet, Paul, and then pulls in behind the AMG racing car through the S's.
Just a look there at VAPX Racing Group GT Red getting past 49 Motorsports A through to the first corner. Three Mercedes AMG GT3 cars here having a great battle on the racetrack, and this is something we love, Jimmy. These cars are very balanced in terms of their characteristics, of course, same manufacturer. Mercedes is a very heavy car, and this track Interlagos requires a lot of manhandling and quite a big, heavy front-engine car.
Yeah, we've got three different GT cars taking part in this event, the Z4, the AMG and the R8, and they all seem to be very similar in terms of pace, which is good. We like to see that. Of course, no one likes a bit of BOP. I'm just going to quickly turn our attention, though, to the battle for P2 in our P2 field between Fusion Racing Blue and Torque Freak Racing Sunset. Looks like Jake Robson's got the bit between his teeth on this restart. He's been all over the 60 car and now going into the 60. We're going to pull to the outside for T1. One of the move that I enjoy doing. Let's see what Fusion Racing Blue does. Nice defence. Runs the Torque Racing car nice and wide. Defends the line. But now a little bit slow coming for the exit of the S's onto turn 3, which is somewhere you don't want to be slow because, again, Torque Freak Racing in the slipstream. Going to have a look.
Caution flies, Jimmy, as we have caution on the racetrack. And we're going to find out what has exactly happened for you here, as we might have just missed what actually happened.
It looked like I saw a GTC car, sorry, go off the field. So we'll have a quick look down for the field, see what I can find, see if we can get an answer for you guys.
We are struggling to find out exactly what happened. I'm sure we'll try and locate that for you folks in a minute. But field back under yellow flag conditions for just a moment. We're going to step aside and take a quick break, and we'll be back with a replay of what happened in just a few moments' time.
So obviously you guys have come from the virtual world to reality. What do you think about a sim racer coming in the real world? What were your expectations coming in?
Coming from iRacing, a computer program basically down here to a real world scenario where you got all these guys with all these years and years and years and years of experience that are also using iRacing as a tool to come out and run against those guys and beat them and finish ahead of them and show them, there's a thing or two you might be missing is fantastic. I mean, that's a skill that I know I don't have, and I can appreciate it because I'm terrible at iRacing.
Glenn was able to come into the team. We did a lot of preseason testing, actually a full season's worth of testing before we even started the season. And he came in, there was a lot of sectors that he was the fastest guy out of our team. And Sparky and I are looking at data, trying to catch up to him through some turns. And of course, some places Sparky will be the fastest or I'll be the fastest, and Glenn is able to learn from, what we're doing and vice versa. So it was excellent to see his pace right off of the bat, and speed was never a worry. It's about qualifying well. Qualifying is very difficult, and pretty important in this series. And so is, being able to make effective passes without contact. It's very difficult to pass in these cars, so, it's not easy being here.
I think the level of ultra competitiveness in here, where when normally when you make a pass, you're making a pass with 2 cars involved. But if we're making a pass in this series, you have to remember there's 5 cars waiting behind you. If you mess up that pass, they're going by you.
Yeah, it's like sharks.
Yeah, you're surrounded by sharks. But no, it's been I've been very surprised and very pleased with it. And obviously, I have the 2 champions I'm sitting between. John actually statistically is the most successful MX-5 Cup driver in the world. He owns every record that you would want. None of the bad records.
Maybe some of them. I don't know.
Maybe some of those. And Sparky's one of the quickest guys in the paddock, and obviously the champion now. So. I couldn't have picked a better team to be with 6 Sideways. I'm looking at what everybody in the paddock calls gold. I mean, they will pay to look at John and Sparky's data, and I get full access to it, and I get to see where I'm doing well and see where I can improve. And I've been really pleased with my progress.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the DGFX World Endurance Racing 3 hours of Interlagos. Whilst we were in the break, we managed to find out what caused the caution. The cars are currently under. It was the Bad Cactus Racing blue team, the number 95 car, having an incident with the WR Racing AMG Mercedes going to turn 3. It looks like the GT behind them was caught up with the early braking of the DTC car, and unfortunately that ended up with Elliot Mean in the wall. So that car, lots of damage, and had to escape back to the pits after front contact there. But we're about to go back to green, only a couple, I think, which is on the in lap now, sorry, so just waiting for that to come round as cars are waved by. But that was the incident that caused the caution. Rachel, did you manage to get a look at that?
Yeah, we certainly did, of course. A bit of a moment there for the 95 car. Jimmy, of course, you had a look at that one specifically. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, it was just like I said, just the WR Racing car in the SLS getting a little bit caught out with the short, we mentioned it before, the short braking distance of the high braking distance, sorry, of the DTC car, and running into the back, which is a big shame because that is big damage now for that 95 car. But car still getting way through as we wait to go green.
It certainly is, and we are joined by Fitzy Motorsports DGFX driver here, Jack Styles. He's down in your GTC category. How's it going for you and your boys, Jack?
Yeah, not too bad so far. We started 19th, we're slowly making our way up the field. We're 14th now, I think. Sam's doing a stellar job, like he usually does.
It certainly is. The green flag is actually back out. We've just seen that one. Different restart procedure this time by, apparently, as it seems everyone's just, well, gone. So we were expecting the field to be waved around and actually cleared to get this one going, but we've now got a mixed restart here. We'll come back to you in a second, Jack. But yeah, our prototype leaders here filtering through GTC cars already. This is going to make for a messy start, Jimmy.
It is, and we're coming up now to that fast right hand I mentioned before. Let's see what the lines the top three take. They're all inside the DTC cars, but now the DTC car is going to come back in. They need to be aware that there are cars there. So going green on the straight, the leader actually had to avoid the slower car. That's how fast the acceleration difference is. But at this point, it's pretty much a free-for-all as the prototype traffic tried to weave their way through the DTC, and cars everywhere here. I'm surprised we've not seen any contact yet, but this is what makes a good prototype driver, is being able to get through this traffic fast and efficiently. As I say that, the Fusion Racing blue car tags the DTC car going downhill. The downhill left hand just coming into the last sector, and that is bad. For
further incidents, actually, we had a big checkup following that as he got back onto the racing line and boxed in another car. He actually nearly cut across the 799, and that had contact for one of the other prototypes in your field. That was the 707 car of Simatok Esports, so a bit of a cluster happening there, as we'll stay green for now, but this was a product of that restart, Jimmy, as we'll just finish off our quick chat with Jack Stars. We'll let him go, of course, but Jack, your car right now, the 77 machine in your GTC field, you're running just a bit down the order, not as high as you would have liked, but the way this is panning out, you could be looking at a top 10 result at least.
We've been on iRacing long enough to know that everything can happen in 2.5 hours. I mean, we've just been tagged by the leader, which I think you're probably just in on the broadcast, but...
oh yes, that was you. That was appropriate timing. You come for an interview and get hit. Welcome to the RaceSpotTV curse once again.
I was contemplating putting the logos on the car. I thought, nah, I'll try not to, but I think I might have to now that we've been fired off while we've been on the broadcast. But yeah, no, Sam's doing a stellar job, and obviously we've got 2.5 hours left. I'm in next on the slowest driver, so that we're going to try and run me for the shortest amount of time possible, and then Ryan's going to take it to the end.
Have you got the ability to not hit things?
Just hope so.
Well, hope you do, because then your speed might well be irrelevant, judging on how this last caution restart's gone. But thanks for joining us, Jack Styles from the Fitzy Motorsport team in your GTC division, as we have another prototype off the racetrack once again, and we'll have a look at that one in a second. But thanks for joining us, Jack.
No problem. I can just say, Jeffrey, if you're listening, so sad you couldn't be with us today. Hope you feel better soon. Everyone at Fitzy Motorsport is waiting for you to be back on with us and designing all our setup, so get well soon, buddy.
This, of course, Jack Styles from the GTC team, Fitzy Motorsport. Thanks for joining us, Jack. As Jimmy, we've had some more incidents in the time, as we're looking at your second place in the prototype division. Talk Freak Racing Sunset have managed to get through on Fusion Racing Blue.
Yeah, they got through when the Fusion Racing Blue tagged Jack's car there, so a bit of a shame, but the pace of the 60 car is undeniable. It's already back onto the rear end of the 181 Talk Freak Racing Sunset car. I got that out in the end, but this is the point here. Traffic is a great equaliser when it comes to endurance racing. You can be faster by 2-3 seconds a lap, but if you can't get past traffic efficiently and quickly, that isn't going to count for anything. As you see Talk Freak Racing going up the inside of a GT there, and this is where we talk about the HBD being that bit more manoeuvrable.
We certainly do, and it needs every little bit of movability, Jimmy, of course. They're trying to get past GT cars now, the GT3 field, actually, some of the BMWs here, and, well, this is going to make things interesting for your top two fighters. Here comes Fusion Racing Blue, even, on Talk Freak Racing Sunset. Have they got the opportunity to get through? They won't this time by, but this traffic is providing ample opportunity for good racing here in our prototype division.
I'm hoping we manage to go that caution for a bit longer, because the field does need to get spread out a little bit, as Talk Freak Racing getting held up behind the DTC car, now cutting underneath, like you said earlier on about cutting under instead of trying to go around. There's a bit of damage on the front end of that car there. That's the number 18 car, but Fusion Racing going to the inside but thinking better of it. You might see drivers do that every now and then, just sort of wave the car on the inside, then back in behind for the corner, just to sort of show them nose, just to say, look, I'm here, trying to distract the driver in front. If you keep doing that, maybe the guy in front might brake a little bit later, might not quite get the throttle as quickly, and that is your chance to overtake. But a little bit too soon for mind games, I think. There's big lunge there into turn 7, not quite close enough though.
Certainly not, of course, as it stands. There's GT traffic all over the track, so perhaps Fusion Racing Blue can just be patient and wait here, although they are dropping about 4 seconds now, 4.7 seconds on the clock behind your race leader, Fusion Racing. Their sister car as they get past the Bushfink Racing Mercedes there. Got Bushfink Racing Blue in your GT field. Although, yeah, Bushwing Racing Blue there getting passed by your second and third place cars. Have a quick look at our messages. GTC P3 we're looking at right now. Torque Freak Racing Radillion. And they're being followed very closely by SimRC.de Strawberry. We're giving this one absolutely everything as they get passed by another prototype here. But these Porsches, from what we've seen so far, Jimmy, really well balanced with this sort of multi-class racing. On paper, the lap times are similar to the GT cars, maybe about a second or two off for the fastest drivers, but the real difference here is in the cornering. Of course, a track like this one into Lagos, where there is a lot of cornering, we are seeing them really separated out quite nicely, and this is making things quite an interesting position for them.
It is, and we just saw on camera, I think the SimRC.de Strawberry car actually take the third position away from the 381 car, just late braking into T1, secured that position. But yeah, the Porsche fitting in very well around here. I think maybe they need to be just a little bit slower compared to the GT cars to have a perfect package, but this isn't a bad matchup by any means as the prototype field making their way through. It does seem like that 798 car is running a little bit quicker than the cars behind it, so maybe it got quite the start of the race, but up into third place now, not too far away from the guys in second and third. You can just about see them in the background there of your set, but yeah, we're used to seeing the SimRC cars running high, so I'm not surprised to see the SimRC Strawberry running in third place.
Moved themselves up there, of course, and a fantastic pass as Torque Freak Racing Radillion being caught now by Team Bush Freak Racing Red, who are also throwing themselves into the mix in this one. Another one of these Porsche 911 cars, and fantastic to identify, Jimmy. The big number on the windscreen is a massive help for us commentators up in the box here. Sometimes we can't see those side boards on the car, but the two big numbers on the windscreen is very, very helpful for us.
It is. We did have a slow GT car. I'm just trying to get back to it. It's Scott Corbin, the Black Adam Motorsport 67 car. He was stopped on the exit coming in.
He's still stopped. I know he's moving again.
He's just got back up to speed now. He was running, he was running towards the back of the GT field there, so that's not really ideal for Scott, but he did the right thing by stopping and letting the traffic through instead of just pulling back onto the circuit. That's another problem here. With 60 cars going around, and if you go offline, you've got to wait. You've got to wait for a long time until there's a gap for you to get running again.
That's what we've seen so far from drivers. A lot of patience with rejoining the racetrack, Jimmy. A critical skill in motor racing, but one we often see perhaps overlooked at times, but they're doing just that now. I'll have another look back at your second place battle in your prototype field, and it's still very close. They're filtering through traffic here. Torque Freak Racing Sunset and Fusion Racing Blue. The 181 and the 50 cars still battling it out here as they run up towards the start-finish line. This one really hasn't eased off for us.
Not just yet. I think the Fusion Racing Blue car, Paul Selly at the helm of that one at the moment. It was a bit quick at the start, but it does seem that the 181 has found a little bit of a rift now, a little bit of a gap opened up, although Paul does a good job of closing it down, although getting a little bit sideways there into C1. Very easy to do because, again, the corner's a little bit strange. A lot of the rear end goes a little bit light through there if you're going too fast, and of course the fastest way to drive these cars is to have just a tiny bit of oversteer to them, so I'm not surprised we'll be seeing that a bit more throughout the race. Well, they have pulled away a little bit, I say a little bit, from the Simitok eSport car, but they've come back actually since the last chat. They're actually all about in the same frame right now, so about a second and a half separating the top, or second to fourth currently in your prototype field. So this one's still liable to hot up at some point. We haven't seen any pit stops yet from what I can see. I have to have a look down our field, but we expect the prototype, I think from our running earlier, we had Alvin go out there and find some numbers for us, and apparently the pit stop for the HPD comes just under the hour, and for the GT field it's just over 70 minutes or so. So if you're an HPD car, if you can save a little bit of fuel, you might be able to do it on just the 2 stops instead of 3.
Well, we know, of course, there are some fuel limits in place. I can't see it for the GT cars, but I know there's a 92% fuel limit on the Porsche. So we're expecting these stops to be just, in all 3 classes, Jimmy, the way this is looking, to be under the hour. So we aren't going to be expecting 2 stops, it's going to be more like 3. But how do cautions on a road course play into your fuel strategy, and just how much can you save with these full course yellows?
I mean, if the idea in endurance races, if you have the time, if you're near the pits and there's a caution, go up, fill up the fuel and go back out there. Especially if you're at the start of the stint, don't change tyres, get the fuel and get back out there. That's the quickest way possible to do it. So I'm just being told there's actually a fight going on for the GTC second place, it seems, as the is it is second place again, but they've been split by prototypes, and that's something that happens around here. You do get battles that sort of come together through traffic, but also battles that are broken up because of traffic, especially when the prototype sort of lunges in between you, and that puts our GTC lead, well, it's pretty big gap now between the top 3 cars. Not a big gap, they aren't close enough to sit from each other anyway, but they're spread out a bit more than they have been so far.
Yeah, that would look to be the case here as they are coming for the lead. It's Blackstar Racing GTC here in the 76 machine, chasing the 9 of Vendaval Sim Racing White. And the gap is coming down now, but under a second between these 2 cars, and this is a fight for the GTC class lead. Vendaval have been strong so far, Jimmy, on all the restarts, but Blackstar looking to challenge.
They are indeed, and just watching go through turn 3 now, it's a very interesting corner. Sorry, turn 2, isn't it? Turn 4, even I can do numbers around here. Very interesting corner for a car without downforce, because with downforce you want to try and get that foot on nice and early and get the downforce working again. But this car seems to be a little bit more sideways. You see, Kim Ericsson almost backs it in going through turn 6 up the hill. That's a scary place to do it, Kim. But still there, still right on the back of that Vendaval Racing number 9 car, and this is an interesting point now for the 9 car if the fight starts to get to a point where they're pushing each other offline. With only 40 odd minutes or 45 minutes elapsed or so, do you then pull over and let the guy behind you get through and try and concentrate on your pace over the course of the stint, or do you fight for the position and then maybe risk cars behind the battle gaining in?
Well, that's always a critical one to look at, and obviously dependent on the time and situation for these guys, and it's something that we see win and lose endurance races, Jimmy, when they make the wrong call in those situations. So it might seem like an innocuous thing or a small thing even, but everything factors into the total here in endurance racing.
I mean, sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes it can be luck. I mean, I've been in races where we've had a lead of 30 seconds and then a caution flag has come out at a bad time and we drop down to a second before we have to go into a pit stop, and you just lose time. That's very frustrating when you're when you're leading, of course. When you're maybe a couple of laps back, or maybe you're a long way off the lead, having a caution is, it gets you back into the game again. It brings the racing a bit close together. So as long as we don't have any artificial cautions, that's fine. I'm okay with that in certain series. But
well, let's hope no one throws a water bottle out the window. But I'm sure we can find out. I mean, if I tried to throw a water bottle out a Porsche window here, I think it'd bounce off the glass, which would be kind of useful. But we'll have to see as we move forward to this one. We'll run through your top 5s in all the classes now as we are heading up to about 15 minutes complete in this one. We should be seeing pit stops very, very soon based on the timing.
Just looking at
as we are looking at P2 overall, and this is side by side there. It's on the inside will go Fusion Racing Blue, passing back Torque Freak Racing Sunset there into the final corner. Hey, no, it wasn't the final corner, actually it was turn number 5, I think, because big move there from Fusion Racing Blue, Jimmy. A very optimistic run, but they got it done in traffic, and that could have been a disaster or success, and they got the right one.
That was turn 3 down there, the move was made. And just to quickly clarify that Fusion Racing Blue was actually already in front of Torque Freak Racing Sunset. I mean, we actually missed the overtake there, so we'll have to go back and see if we can find that. But then through traffic, the Torque Freak Racing car had a fantastic run coming up down to turn 3, but just couldn't make it stick. And I think that panicked the Fusion Racing Blue car into making a little bit of a dodgy move on a DTC car. But everyone got through there in one piece, which is important. And now, come for the end of the lap, again, that gap because of traffic has stretched back up again. But we've got a lot of traffic still in front of the Fusion Racing Blue car, so this fight is going to continue.
It certainly will continue, and whilst they're doing just that, we'll have a quick run through of your top 5s. And at the moment, of course, Fusion Racing are pulling away here, followed by Fusion Racing Blue, Torque Freak Racing Sunset, Simatok Esports, and Team Bushfrink Yellow in your 5th spot in the prototype field. Down in the GT3 field is AOD Racing GT with Team Vikings Midgard in the 2nd place, German Sim Racing's 305 in the 3rd spot, with VAPEX Racing Group and Graphite Racing your top 5. Down in GTC, and we still have that battle for the lead there, which is closing up here, Jimmy. Vendaval Sim Racing White, Blackstar Racing GTC, Sim RC Strawberry, Torque Freak Racing Redillion, and Bushfrink Racing Red still going on for the GTC lead.
So still going underway, and it's one we're keeping an eye on for sure. Just want to very quickly take attention back to the prototype field, specifically P3. Last lap we saw Torque Freak Racing Sunset have a go for P2. This lap, because of traffic, they were then under attack for Simatok Esport down exactly the same corner, but luckily traffic sort of flowed in their direction. But this is the beauty, to me anyway, of endurance racing, is the ebb and flow of traffic as Simitok goes very deep there into the last corner. I'm not quite sure what David Soranzo was thinking there. Really not a gap to do that. All he did was lose time, but obviously that Simitok car is trying to make advantage of the fact they've caught up in traffic. Not quite as quick over a single lap, but again, traffic being the great equaliser it is, brings them back together. So definitely one to keep an eye on there as well as the battle for GTC lead, which is opening up a little bit. I've just seen the SMT Motorsport car, I think, coming to the pits, or it's coming out the pits, so I'm not sure if that was a scheduled stop or not, but I'm going to quickly have a look at that, Rachel.
We'll have to keep our eyes on whether it is or not. We are expecting stops very soon for these guys, of course. About the hour mark is what we thought, but we do know there are some fuel limits in place. We'll have to find out what that effect has on your prototype and GT3 cars. But as it stands, everyone still planning to stay out at the moment. We've not seen a difference yet, as P3 looked like they were taking a drive-through. Is that what you were saying, Jimmy?
Sorry, the SMT car that came out the pits was taking a drive-through penalty. That's a GT car we just mentioned before. Meanwhile, P3 overall is still very tight. Again, the car's being sort of held up a little bit by a GTC car, going very wide as a Torque Freak racing car. It's like a bad run up the hill, but it's not really a place to overtake. And look in front of us now, look at that complete gaggle there of GTC traffic. That's the worst thing you want to see as a prototype driver, especially coming through this long sweeping left-hander. Luckily they aren't going to catch them just yet. They should get some of them on the straight, hopefully. But again, another opportunity for David Soranzo. If he can just play the traffic right, he might see himself put up into third place. But something else I mentioned very quickly, Rachel, was we had the 60 car and the 181 car. They were very close to second place in P2, and now there's a 3-second gap as Soranzo gets a good run now coming onto the pit straight, deep into the pit lane. Soranzo goes to the outside line, so Torque Freak Racing is going to defend the inside. 181, 707, there we go, side by side. David Soranzo looks around the outside and makes it stick around the outside, although he's going to be a very tight line into the second S, and that's the move made by David Soranzo. A fantastic move.
Absolutely, and that was Simitok Esport getting past Torque Freak Racing Sunset in the center S's. So brave racing here as we approach that 1 hour mark of 3. Move Simitok Esports up into a podium spot for now, Jimmy, as this one does not look set to be done. Torque Freak Racing Sunset coming back.
That's how you play the track. Right on the outside there was Jake Robson, not quite close enough to make a move around the outside, and again traffic coming back into play. Stacking these guys back up again, and I always have a smile on my face when I watch these sort of racing. It just keeps the action headed for us. Of course, there is action all the way through the field, but when you're a prototype driver, you're just looking to try and get through as quick as you can. Not really taking into account as all the simracing.de car goes very wide there. I think that might be Melon actually. Yes, it is a melon car, sorry. No, sorry, I lied, it's a strawberry car. Got a big strawberry in the front, it should be a giveaway, shouldn't it? But again, back up the hill, and that gap has widened back up again. It looks like the 181 car, currently piloted by Jake Robson, is actually struggling a little bit in traffic and not really having the same sort of decisiveness as the cars in front.
Certainly hasn't, and that's going to be a critical point, but we've got a drive-through penalty, avoidable contact for car number 918. The 918 car, Jimmy, will receive a drive-through penalty.
Yeah. And
I think that is the WR Racing B car down in your GT3 field. That's one of the WR Racing Mercedes.
Yeah, that was because of the contact earlier with the Mean Racing car. Oh, sorry, it wasn't Mean Racing car, it was the guy's second name, sorry. With the GTC car earlier on, and it was, I think it's a Fitz. Sorry, I'm losing my place here, but the Fitz-style, motorsport car, that was the penalty for that. He was the person who ran into the back of the car, caused the damage, so there is the drive-through. I'm not surprised we've seen that.
Certainly not, and of course we'll have to see whether this one does pan out at the moment, but what's going on in GTC, Jimmy? Vendaval Sim Racing seems to have pulled that gap open a bit.
Have a little bit, and they will continue to do so, I imagine. That car looking very good. I'm being told we have a bit of action here between the Bishop Racing and Red Car and the Blackadder Motorsport car. This is down in your DTC at the moment. This is for 5th in class. Here we go, here's Carly Jansen. He's currently at the helm of the Blackadder Motorsport car, looking very feisty. Well, we have 3 cars here in quite close contention, and this will be for 4th in class with Mika Uhi, in the 237 car. He's right up behind the Torque Freak Racing Radillion car there. And here comes some prototype. There you go, that's a good indicator of the speed difference in a straight line between the prototype and the GTC car. It's not actually that much if you think about it in terms of different class, but all the speeds for the prototypes come in the fast corners. The 237 car, Team Bushwick Racing Red, looks to the outside now of the Talk Freak Racing 381 car. Will they make that move stick? Can we get round to the outside? I don't think there's going to be any opportunity of that happening there. Actually runs himself very wide now for the S, and that's going to hurt him all the way down this straight. Will the Blackadder car be around to take advantage of that? He's now right up behind in the slipstream. Let's see what sort of running it's out of turn 3. A little bit wide there to the exit. He is going to switch them, but won't be close enough going down into turn 3 here. But that's something you've got to keep an eye on. When you're going around the outside at turn 1, you're then completely ruining your entry into turn 2, and then that slows you all the way down to turn 3. So something to keep an open mind about when you're racing in the GTC class.
Certainly is, and they're doing just that. They're making this very exciting for us as GT cars being passed there by prototype cars. As the field will still continue to filter through. This is something we'll see all day long, Jimmy, of course. It's a 71 car, also a drive-through penalty. That's 4x HPD Racing. Apparently collected too many 4x's, as they're going to have to go for a trip down pit road for the contact with the 911 Porsche. That's interesting. That's another incident for the 911.
We'll have to, I'm not entirely sure what that one was for. I don't think we actually caught that instance. I think it might have been when we had the green and there was a little bit of contact going on afterwards, but it's a prototype in the pit. And we've seen a couple of these penalties being given out to prototypes now, of course, a little bit pushy in that overtaking. Luckily, it's not been so bad as... Oh, bit of news, the Simatox eSport car is still past that Talk Freak Racing car, still in front, but the Talk Freak Racing car is still right up behind, still in the slipstream. I think that Jake's a little bit miffed off that he's gone from 2nd place to 4th. About 3 or 4 laps here, so maybe trying to get back past. But in the meanwhile, the Fusion Racing Blue car, which was racing with this 181 car, has pulled 3 seconds on these guys. So having a little bit of clean air there, maybe benefiting a bit. But at the front of the field, the Fusion Racing 59 car, the first car is 8 seconds clear. So a little bit of a gap forming now at the end of your prototype field.
It is. We're keeping our eyes on Bushwick Racing Red and Blackadder Motorsports 28 car, the somehow hash 69 machine. That's great and useful for me to work out. But the 237 there of Bushfink with Blackadder's machine behind them. This gap's closing in. They're also both catching Talk Freak Radillion here, so this one likely to hot up in the next few laps. As these GTC cars, what we've seen all week, Jimmy, of course, they've been running at the Nürburgring in iRacing's official stuff. Here, though, they seem to be really great cars around this tight, twisting Interlagos track. And they seem to race incredibly well also in traffic.
I mean, from my own experience in this GTC car, it's a very user-friendly car. The only thing you've got to get used to is the brakes, because they will lock on you very quickly if you apply too much pressure. No ABS in these cars, of course, something to worry about, as I think we're having a battle on track between the 42 car and the 81 car. So if we can just get a quick feed on that. 81 has just passed the 42 car. There was a contact involved, I'm hearing, Rachel.
There certainly was, and we'll have to try and find out what happened there, Jimmy, because it's been another one of these little minor tapping incidents. We've seen a few of them in the traffic bumping around. So actually nothing we're going to have to go back and show you because it was fairly minor, but something we're going to see a lot of here with the track being very narrow. It's certainly difficult to race.
It's just a little nudge into T1 going down there, not too big a contact, although from what I'm seeing, the 42 car actually overtook the 81 car going down the straight and then coming back in, back into T1. Got a little bit of a nudge from the 81 car. I don't think it was intentional at all, but obviously something you've got to really look out for. As now, the I think that's the 231 car. Sorry, no, that's a lie. That's the 81 car going very wide into T6 there, so a little bit of pressure there. Maybe Marcus Ager at the wheel not feeling too happy at the moment through this traffic.
Not looking that way at the moment at all, as we're going to still keep our eyes fixed on this GTC fight here. This one has the potential to become something much, much bigger, Jimmy, but there's some big names there, of course. It's Mika Ashuis in the Bushfink machine, Blackadder piloted at the moment by Carl E. Johnson, and Talk Freak's Radillion machine is David Barraclough. So 3 names we are actually quite familiar with here in a very new class of cars, so this battle has a good potential, but they don't seem to be really making any big strides towards each other. Time's very balanced, all about roughly running in the 34-second bracket.
I've just got a bit of contact, Rachel, just down at T3. I'm going to see if I can find out what car that was. There was a little bit of contact, some lap traffic involved. I'm just running through the field now. I think it was a lap. Oh, there's more contact going on. Christopher Brandstetter in the AD Motorsport car. That is the number 50. The number 17 car having contact with a prototype. We'll see if I can get a replay of that. Yes, it was a car, the prototype that went wide that I just mentioned was trying to rejoin coming onto T4 and just cut across the nose of the GTC car, putting them both into the wall. We're just getting a replay of it now. Again, just watching this prototype rejoining on the circuit, just without any sort of idea or maybe respect for the other cars here, and just completely collecting the...
It certainly is, but we'll have to have a quick look back now to Torque Freak Racing and Bushfink Racing, because they're getting this one on at the moment, and Bushfink are looking feisty. They're actually starting to make moves towards Torque Freak Racing. So this one is beginning to heat up here. It's not the attack from Blackadder we thought was going to be the one here, Jimmy. Look at the closing distances now. Bushfink Red right on the car there of Redillion. Always going to be closing up under the brakes, so perhaps the Toro Freak machine not quite as confident on the quiet pedal.
Not at the moment, no, but we also have a fight for P2 as well. GTC is all hot and contested, as you see there in the 381 car. Just locking the brakes, like we said before, the brakes in this thing is very difficult to get to grips with if you aren't used to driving without ABS, but it seems to be going well so far. I can hear a prototype coming through as I'm watching Miko. Ihuis, I think is how you say it. It's a very difficult name to say that. It's not definitely not a name that the English tongue is meant to say. But coming up the hill now, and this is where you want to have that slipstream, because going up the hill, of course, that's where power is everything. And if you have a lower downforce setup, even these cars, there is some wing adjustments to be made on these Porsches. You can see a little bit of a gain as Mika there looks to the inside. I don't think he's going to do it. No, he pops back into the slipstream again.
He does indeed, and we'll see if he can make any use of this on the run out here from turn number 4. Big closing distance there. He was right on the back end of him, almost hit him there, Jimmy, as they came down the Senna S's. Down in the run towards turn 5, and going to go to the outside. Can he get the undercut though for 6?
Very easy to do when you have a sniff of the guy in front. You're going to try and make the move stick. There's lots of cars involved now. You see the Blackadder Motorsport also putting their nose in. And there's 3 cars all separated about half a second now, going up the hill, up to T6, and Torque Freak's going to go defensive. That's going to make him slow, and Blackadder's going to be able to come in there. Goes up the inside of the Bushfink car. No, he doesn't think better of it. I think they would have been in contact if he didn't pull out of that. So a good decision there by Carl. But these 3 going at it like it's a sprint race at this point.
They really are, and this is sprint racing here at a 3-hour endurance event. And we've just passed the hour mark, 2 minutes past the hour mark into hour number 2 here in the DGFX Racing Series at Interlagos for 3 hours. And it is a fantastic battle here down in GTC, a new class for this year, and one of the first endurance races we've seen, Jimmy, on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live with the new Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, and they're doing a sterling job.
Yeah, it's the first race that I've seen with these guys before, and it's nice to see him on circuit, of course. It's just nice to have a Porsche brand on circuit instead of the rough we had before. But that fight for 4th place is still going underway as Mika now again pulls to the outside. We see him make this move before, and we see him suffer because of it, but I think he's going to give it a go. No, he's going to pull out, maybe try and cut inside now. Here comes Blackadder. Oh, very late on the brakes there. Almost ran into the back of the 237 car, but just about managing to avoid it. And Mika gets it very sideways there coming out of T2. Too quickly on the loud pedal, and that's going to give the Blackadder Racing Motorsport car behind a chance to overtake Hugo in the slipstream again. Will he put to the inside? Mika goes defensive though. Carl's going to take the usual line, comes back across the circuit to take the racing line, and the positions stay the same for now. But these guys, are they going to survive the 3 hours at this rate?
I don't think they can. The way this is going, Jimmy, it's definitely looking a little bit on the intense side. We'll have a quick recap of what's going on towards the front in your prototype field for now, and then we'll head back down to your GTC field. But Fusion Racing are 8.1 seconds clear of your field. Fusion Racing Blue, 2nd place, dealing with very heavy GT3 traffic there as they filter through some Mercedes, Audis, and a Porsche from the GTC field. Torque Freak Racing Sunset, they're on their own as well. They're about 5 seconds back from Fusion Blue, with 3 seconds over Bushfink Yellow. So your top 5 all widely separated over about a 30-second window. Down in GT3, the field is actually somewhat reduced here. We've lost, I think, in the order of about 6 cars so far, Jimmy, from that field. AOD Racing leading from German SimRacing.de 305. Graphite Racing, Team Viking Midgard, and the Road Bar Stewards Black. And their teammates, the white car, just behind them. Down in GTC, though, we're keeping our eyes on what's going on here. Vendaval Sim Racing White, good gap for the lead for them, a comfortable lead. Black Star Racing still closely followed by SimRC Strawberry. But we are still keeping our eyes here on the scrum that is the battle back here. Torque Freak Racing Redillion, Bushfink Racing Red, Blackadder Motorsports are now joined by, that's a GT3 car actually passing him, 49 Motorsports coming from a lap down, and Sim RC Melon also getting involved. So this one's definitely bunching up in GTC.
Yeah, a little bit disrespectful there from the lap down car, especially if that isn't your race, sort of just putting the nose up the inside and ruining things. The Blackadder goes very wide there. They've been good in the brakes up until now, but they're going to lose a lot of time there because there's no grip on the outside of the circuit, and that's them out of this fight for now. But now the Bushfink car getting held up a little bit going through turn 6 as the prototype nearly collects him on the exit there. That was a bit scary. I wouldn't want to be in Mika's shoes for that, but so you see how even being passed by traffic can negatively affect you. You see how Blackadder, the 69 car, sorry, not 69 car, again the 28 car, lost a lot of time going through the left-hander there in the end of sector 1, but it was all given back to them pretty much for free when the HPD came through and then passed the Bushfink Porsche going through the turn 6. So that can happen, ebb and flow. But what I've noticed so far, Rachel, is that Blackadder with Carl Jansen at the wheel of that seems to be a lot better under the brakes at T1 than the cars in front of us. Something to keep an eye on.
Certainly is, and that is something that we'll definitely be focusing on as this one goes forwards, and that's definitely something we're seeing as a definite split here, Jimmy, for this GTC field. We're seeing, because these cars, of course, no traction control, no ABS, sensitivity of the brakes and how you brake as a driver is a big defining factor here, and we're seeing different styles, and that makes it quite interesting as 49 Motorsports gets past the Torque Freak Rodillion machine. But we're seeing drivers perhaps a little better at it than other people, especially later into a stint on older tyres, locking up a very easy prospect in this 911.
Yes, indeed, and a bit of a clumsy pass there by the Z4 again, sort of just going 2x2 in a place that didn't really need to do it, but did it anyway, and that again brings these guys back together. Just a quick update, the 007 car is back, I think, well, back into its own class now on the scoreboard. Just went past the SMT Motorsport car, who we saw had a drive-through earlier on, so that TNT Racing Gold who actually led the race from pole, only to be given a drive-through penalty for a jump start, so still recovering from that at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on those guys as they come back through the field. At the moment, still for 4th place, we still have Torque Freak and Bushfink together on track, and making for interesting racing. I'm just sort of waiting until Mika gets the opportunity in the Torque Freak car, because it seems at the moment they're all running at a similar sort of speed. Mika seems to be just a little bit quicker for the last section of the track where it matters to get close for that T1 overtaking opportunity.
Certainly does. Turn 1, one of the biggest opportunities on the track, along with turn 5, the way this is looking at this point, Jimmy. And of course, not really many other spots to pass here other than those two particular runs. The only real straights we have here at Interlagos.
Yeah, it can be a difficult place to overtake here, but that doesn't mean you should keep yourself of overtaking at those points. You have to look for those opportunities, because sometimes, again, middle sector, very easy to understeer through there, because going through that hairpin lap after lap after lap, asking so much of the front tyres, just doesn't quite work out too well when the tyres are worn. But again, Mika having a good run through the S's now, sort of in the slipstream of the car in front, but running wide a little bit, so easy to do there as well, just again to show that these GTC cars aren't quite as planted to the floor as these guys are making them look.
Well, speaking of GTC cars, we're going to give you a RaceSpotTV fan immersion here. We're going to go on board with the 237 Bushfink Racing Red Machine, piloted by Mika Ehuis, and you're going to see him chasing down that Torque Freak Racing Rodillion machine. So, enjoy. laps on board there with the 237 GTC car from Team Bushfink Racing Red, as they're actually now under threat from behind by Blackout Motorsports and the number 28 car, as they're getting passed by GT3 cars, one of the Mercs and one of the Audis coming through here. But this one really hasn't cooled down much, Jimmy, at this point. The 237 back after Torquefreak Racing again. The lead, GTC also very close, the closest we've seen so far, as Blackstar Racing GTC right on the rear wing there of Vendaval Sim Racing White.
A little bit unfortunate there, timing for that 76 car of Kim Eriksson. Just had to follow the Vendaval Sim Racing car. Couldn't pull out to the left, there was traffic coming through, but these guys have really closed up. Vendaval did have a little bit of a gap, that seems to have disappeared now. That's the traffic, perhaps the pace of Black Star Racing. We'll have to have a look at the times when we can. But these guys are very close, and we saw a couple of opportunities where they could have passed. And bear in mind, behind this, just if you look just behind this battle, is the SimRC.Strawberry car, so he's coming in as well. So this is going to very quickly be a three-way battle for first place. Again, coming through the last corner now. Very differing lines there from the 9 and the 76, and 9 going a lot wider on the entry and then cutting over the exit, trying to get a bit more speed as we come over now up the hill. Again, this is where you want to try and duck into the car in front. They aren't going to quite be close enough to go for the overtaking. In comes Kim Eriksson to the pit lane, I think. Yes, here he comes. So the first stop here for the DTC car, the second place DTC car in the pits, with just over an hour, just over 70 minutes elapsed.
Certainly is. We've also got Team Fusion Racing Blue in the pits from second place overall, getting their service, as is one of the Mercedes GT3 cars. As a very botched stop there, Jimmy, by the GTC machine.
They just seem to, I don't know if Kim wasn't really looking, but just seemed to miss his marker and had to actually reverse back into the stop. So that's a lot of time, and that's going to be the breathing room that Vendaval needs. They are still out there right now, of course, and we can talk about a strategy with fuel. And the longer you stay out there, the less fuel you've got to put in when you come in for the pit stop, and usually the quicker you get out. And of course, in endurance racing, that might mean a quicker or no final stop. So that's something definitely to keep an eye on in terms of race pace. And at the moment now, it's SimRC.Strawberry's time to try and get back into the limelight, try and fight for that first place. Currently running in second place now with the pitting of the Black Star car. So that's one to watch out for. The gap isn't quite as close though as before. So now coming into the pit window, a lot of GT cars coming in as well. I think we had a couple of pit stops as well from HPDs that we may have missed. Yeah, we did have Fusion Racing Blue, I think, come into the pits as well. So a couple of stops being made now, pit lane getting busy, and because of the cautions earlier, any strategy you have from the start of the race will be thrown up into the air. So it's very much do it as it comes now in terms of strategy.
Certainly is, and these guys are doing just that. Fusion Racing Blue back out and running in 6th place overall. So they're in a good spot. They'll have to, of course, wait for the rest of the field to pit to see where they cycle back. But that is Team Vikings Moignier onto pit road right now, the 73 car. This pit road very, very busy. All the GT3 cars seemingly heading onto pit road now, Jimmy, as we have about 8 GT3 cars actually getting service. So very busy. We're also seeing some GTC cars in and a couple of driver swaps. I think one of the SimRC cars just did that.
We had our leader come in as well from DTC, which is Vendaval Sim Racing White, so they're in now. This is where you're going to get an idea of just how much time the Black Star Racing DTC has lost when these guys come back out of the pits. I think Strawberry's in as well. Yes, they are. So both SimRC cars in as well. Overall lead as well coming in from Fusion Racing. So the prototypes now coming in. I'm surprised they went this long. I thought it would be a lot shorter. Maybe they've already had a stop under caution that we may have missed. But yeah, I thought Fusion Racing was just driving straight through them.
The entire field in right now, actually. The entire field heading onto pit road. GTC, GT3 and your prototype fields all coming down for service. So this has certainly livened up all of a sudden, Jimmy. As we've got a very, very busy pit road here. Of course, they have got very strict regulations on how you use the pitting and, of course, the fast lanes on pit road. Race Control will be keeping eyes on that. Those cars heading out now through a very twisting, tight exit from pit road here at Interlagos. It does dump you out after the pit road, as a bit of smoke there across the braking zones for turn 1. GTC cars locking up quite heavily into one a lot.
Again, just a factor of having no ABS at this point, but you should wait until these stops are panned out to give you guys an idea of who the movers and shakers are. But I can tell you one thing, I can tell you that the Blackadder car, GTC car, obviously suffered there. So the Black Star GTC car suffered there. Just so you can get an idea of where they are on track now. It looks like they're down back into 5th place now after that, and they were competing for 2nd spot, which just shows you how bad their stop was, which is a big shame for them.
Yes, it was. Your leader back out on track. Fusion Racing with Peter Smith behind the wheel of that car, as he will get himself going once again up through the traffic. And this has been something that's been a major factor today, Jimmy. The traffic has been intense around Interlagos. Of course, the rest of the season for DGFX Racing's series going to be a little different, but this track, narrow, tight, twisty, it's definitely a multi-class challenge.
It is, and that's part of the law of racing here, isn't it? It's, sometimes people wouldn't think of it as a multi-class circuit, but I think it's a fantastic example of one. It's just enough challenge to keep everyone on their toes at all points. And because it's a short circuit, like we said at the start of the broadcast, you tend to get traffic coming upon each other quite quickly. So that makes for interesting racing, and it keeps people together as well. So for us as commentators, it makes things a bit easier.
Certainly will, of course. Don't forget the schedule this season. We head, of course, to Brazil for this round, off to the Nürburgring for round number 2, followed by Suzuka, Spa and Montreal. So a fantastic list of circuits we're heading to this season for the DGFX Racing Series, powered by Sim Experience. And Jimmy, I think we have something on Sim Experience. Tell us about them.
We do indeed, presenting to you guys the AccuForce racing wheel with unparalleled realism and the most advancing tuning features on the market. The AccuForce Pro steering system is the only complete plug-and-play direct drive force feedback wheel for sim racers. You can check that out at simexperience.com. That's Sim Experience, drop the E, so Sim Experience. So go check that out, guys. I wanted to very quickly note, getting back to the race quickly, that Team Bushfink Racing Red, they went longest of anybody in the GTC field. We'd have to wait again until they come across the line to get an idea of where they are on track, but Mika managing to make that fuel last, maybe saving a little bit of fuel whilst during that battle there.
Of course, they were running behind the car from Torque Freak Racing with Leon, so that could be a benefit to them there. They could have been saving, as you said, Jimmy. Of course, that would be a major strategic use for these cars, and they have got the longest really of all of our classes of cars in this race, so definitely something to keep your eyes on for this one. But Team Bushfink Racing Red filtering through. Vendaval Sim Racing White going to still be out in the lead for this race by a decent margin, with Blackstar's GTC in second place, they're showing. Order hasn't really changed, but the German Sim Racing 255 has filtered up the list. Not sure if they've pitted yet, Jimmy, as far as we know.
I don't think they have. They weren't really in contention before. Just seeing them go around now. Just seeing.
No, they have. They've swapped drivers, so actually they have filtered through. So that's actually what's gained from those guys then.
It may be a different strategy, maybe a shorter stop now, and then we'll see to make track position, maybe a longer stop at the end. We're just seeing a warning for improper use of pit entry by the car 152 car, which is the German SimRacing.de prototype, and that may mean cutting into the pit lane a bit too much. I've seen a bit of that in this race, and it's a rule that we tend to follow in our own races, where you do not cut inside the white pit line at all when you are actually racing the circuit, but they seem to be doing it willy-nilly in this series, so maybe a little bit too much in terms of that, as there's actually a pretty close fight on track actually. If you look at the 152 car, the 30 car and the 35 car together on the circuit, they're very close at the moment.
Certainly is, as we'll see them filtering through the traffic here, of course, and we keep talking about that factor. It's a major one for the race, but we've had a warning for car 152. Improper use of German Sim Racing's 152 machine in the prototype class. Improper use of pit entry, so coming in across the line rather than committing before the line breaks. If you have a look as we go past pit road on the cameras, you'll see the pit entrance line starts quite a way back, and if they're cutting across their hash part, that is counted as a violation. So we'll see that one. Also, the car 911, avoidable contact, will have a drive-through penalty to serve. Jimmy?
Yeah, that's the contact back on lap 28, it seems, here with the 57 car. So again, that's down in T1. It might have been, I think I saw that actually with the, we mentioned it when the little tap into T1. I think it was that manoeuvre back there. So obviously the steward's really on it at the moment, which is nice to see. We don't like seeing messy contact at all. Being told we're having a little bit of action between the Torque Freak Racing Sunset car and Team Bushfink. Yeah, yes we are. This is for 5th place in your prototype class, as James King pulling up to the back of that Torque Freak Racing Sunset car in the Bushfink car. Always like the deliveries in the Bushfink cars, always look very good. So whoever did that, good job. Sort of watching out the again the 248 car, sort of in the wheel tracks. He's not quite close enough to do anything in the midsection. That's the thing, really. You have to rely on not the downforce in the slipstream to make a move going through. We talked about it briefly earlier about into T1 and into T3. Through the midsection, you have to deal with dirty air, especially through the fast right-hander turn 6. So you want to try and be close coming through the slower speed corners so you can make a move at the end of a straight, etc. But being close through the fast speed corners is not usually a good thing.
Certainly not. And have a quick look at the 181 here in Bushfink Racing Yellow in the 236, I think that is, or 238. Get a good race here going in your prototype field, Jimmy. Not seen prototypes actually racing each other for quite a while, so this will definitely hot things up. As to the inside goes Bushfink Yellow. Look at that move made there on Torque Freak Sunset.
He may do, but Torque Freak with them tucking right behind as he does, and behind James King, and he'll now have the slipstream and the overspeed going to T1. There is GT traffic as well to contend with. Looks like Torque Freak is going to back out of it, and again we're seeing that Torque Freak 181 car suffering in traffic. It comes very late as James King gets it a little bit wrong going to T1, runs it very wide, but for whatever reason the Torque Freak racing car did not make any sort of attempt to overtake her. Maybe the GT traffic interfering a little bit, but James King very lucky there. The rear end snapping, but expertly caught by James there. I'm sure the heart rate is beating a little bit now in that cockpit.
Certainly is, and this is what we love about racing, close racing, even during endurance events here. So this isn't a field spread out running against a clock. Jimmy, we're seeing on-track battling in all three classes. And one field we haven't really talked about much is your GT3 field, but they are actually kind of spread out at the moment, which makes it very difficult to get any real action. But we've got some back here actually. It's two Mercedes, Blackadder Motorsports FGT, I'm guessing that's the Ford GT name, but they're in a Mercedes, chasing down, being chased down by the road bar stewards Black.
They are. It's, these fights come and go on track as they're very close on circuit at the moment. There's a bit of GTC traffic in there just for good measure. And you see that here's the speed difference now between the 911 and the GT cars. There is literally no speed difference in a straight line. They're very quick in a straight line, these little GTC cars, but obviously in the cornering, especially in the slow speed stuff, where we start seeing the errors coming into play. Sven Vidal in the road bar stewards, as we're going to put it, in the number 993 car, carrying the back to 61 Blackadder's Motorsport FGT car as well. Again, in a prototype traffic, sort of forcing their way through there. It's a little bit scary on the way through there. I wouldn't have liked to be next to that car, that move, but the gap opening up again. And traffic is just such a big thing. We talk about it so much in endurance racing, but it is just the biggest factor in terms of race, I think. I mean, speed is secondary, I think, in terms of traffic.
Certainly is. Traffic management will win you this race, not your individual speed. And that's always something to remember for endurance racing. You can win and lose it with traffic, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it so far with the Torque Free Racing Sunset car, the 181 car. This car was running second at one point, but they just can't quite seem to react in traffic in the same way as the other teams, and they're losing out, and they're now down to 5th position. So unless maybe this is something to work on for the next race for Torque Freak. I mean, we know the guys there are quick, we know they're consistent, but they're just not enjoying the traffic. So we'll see what happens with them in the next rounds. Not one to forget, of course, still running in 5th, and still have over half the race to go. But at this point, bad performance in traffic from Torque Freak.
Certainly is, and we'll keep our eyes having a look at what's happening here.
Contact, Rachel. Oh, contact! Yes, I've just went to have a look there at P6, Julian Ocean in the number 152 HPD there. Look, trying to go up the inside of a GTC car that was already committed to T6, had contact, then hit the guy behind him, which is the AOD Racing HPD. Oh no, sorry, which is already solely AOD's. So there's been contact before.
That was the German Sim Racing 152 makes contact with Torque Freak Racing's 381 machine in the GTC category, sending both of them spinning, and they make a big contact there with, I believe, one of the other prototypes in your field. That is the 62 car of Samba Racing Team. I think we're going to see a penalty, perhaps, Jimmy.
I think so too, and the
possibly
AOD
a full
car.
Course. No, all the cars are rolling, I think.
They are. The AOD car's going very slowly at the moment around the outside, coming up to the last corner. It is on the racing line right now. But that's the battle we're going to look at. I also look at the Sim Racing DE and AOD Racing HPD have a fight, but they both had different incidents in different corners. AOD went off at coming up to T4, I think, and went into the inside wall, now very damaged and limping back to the pits. So commentators curse there a little bit, I think.
Could well be, and something we often see happening a lot. I mean, we talked to the guys from, I think it was down in your Fitzy Motorsports, down in your GTC field, and course, they had a big incident whilst we were interviewing them, so that was a bit of the old race spot curse. Well, hopefully they'll see that one happening again, but we were talking about it when it happened as we keep our eyes live. Have a quick look at what's happening with Bushfink up in your your prototype field. They've actually made a big gap there on Torque Freak Sunset here, Jimmy. Pulled that one quite away, so looking faster at the moment for the Bushfink yellow car.
It's like James King at the wheel of that car. They're really weirding that thing around, doing a good job at the moment, and we'll have to watch the gap between him and the V Apex Racing Group purple car, number 33 car, which has sort of come from nowhere. They weren't in the top 6 beforehand. Now they seem to found themselves into third place. A good consistent driving there from that car at the moment puts them into third place, coming up again to some GTC traffic. And yeah, I mean, I want to see about the incident we had just a couple of laps ago there between the DTC car and the HPD going through turn 6. At the point the GTC car is committed to the corner, you can't just put your car up the inside, because that car cannot move. There's no way that car can move, and that's why we saw contact. And we're still having action on track at the moment between now the 25 and the 14 car.
We are as well, and there's a lot of action down in your GTC field. That is what we're looking at there. It's I believe GTN Racing and Puffin Racing there, as well as huge dive from behind by one of those cars. I'm not sure who that was, but that was one of the BMWs, I think, Jimmy, as he went flying up the inside. That was Maldonado-esque.
Yeah, it was a little bit scary there, actually. I think Jason saw well, to be fair, the BMW did have a lot of room there to make that move, but I think, look at this in a straight line. The BMW is slower than the GTC cars. So there you go. That just highlights the difficulty. I think maybe we may see some BOP changes coming into the next round, just to make these cars more competitive in the track. I mean, we did say before how the GT3 cars are better in the corners and in the braking zone, but you saw there the Z4 either lifting, or I don't think it was so, I wouldn't lifting that far into the straight, being pulled on by the GTC car, so damage may be a factor. But Jason Lundy, the Puffin Racing car, looking all over the back of the GTM Racing car, gets a little bit loose coming off now through turn 4, goes to the inside to defend. Puffin Racing now on the outside, which is a better line through here. Here we go then, through the corner, and side by side, 25 car gets a little bit loose. 14's going to run it all the way around the outside. Can he keep it there? 25 still on the inside, still taking it. Jason going to go to the outside now. It's the wrong line, but he'll be on the inside now for the hairpin. Will he have enough room to do so? There it is. Jason pulls across. Will he put in front of the 25? No, he gives him the room. That's going to allow the GTM Racing car back ahead there, side by side, and still side by side now, coming to the tight right-hander. But now HPD gets involved. That is the battle over for now. Oh no, it's not. As Jason goes up the inside and the fast left, not quite close stuff. Might have a lunge into the last corner. HPD sort of stuck on the outside there behind the traffic. Nothing he can do but wait. And unfortunately, it did wait, and that is that.
That was a Simatok prototype, and talk about being patient as a prototype driver, Jimmy. That was a prime example of patience, as Simatok, waiting, trapped, boxed in there by GTC cars, did exactly what they needed to do to get through without really bullying much.
I would have been seething if I was a prototype driver there, because he just put his car in the wrong place and just ended up being boxed in and having to wait. And when you are driving an HPD and when you're used to driving the speed, I think we're having a caution here. There was a caution, virtual safety car out, so we've had an incident somewhere. Cars all slowing down onto the pit limiter, virtual safety car. There's a countdown, and then the pit limiter comes into effect. We'll have to see if we can find out what that was for. That may have been for the incident we saw previously. I'm unsure. We'll have a quick look through it now and see what we can find.
We certainly will. And of course, virtual safety car code 60 out on the racetrack, as this one will get sorted through. Or is it code 80, Jimmy? I always get confused.
Very similar.
Code 80, virtual safety car?
They're two words, different things. Basically, they're on the pit limiter now, which is in this case 71 Ks. So 71 code 70, I guess, will be this. But they're going to wait until the race steward puts them back live again. But at this point, there's just to get slow cars back into the pit lane whilst trying not to neutralise the race too much.
That's exactly what we'll see, of course, as back again. They are under safety car, or at least virtual safety car here, no actual full course yellow. I think this could have involved Berlin Sport, because they're on pit road at the moment, so either that's a scheduled stop under caution conditions, or I think that actually was that, Jimmy. They have come onto pit road. I'm not sure if it was for an incident, but they are getting service.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'm afraid I haven't managed to find the incident that caused this yet, so we'll have to keep having a look through there. But this is again very frustrating as a driver, just being on the pit limiter when you're used to sort of really throwing the car around. Obviously, the tyres are going to cool off a little bit, going to make things a bit scary when you go back under green. We're going to be under virtual safety car for about another 4 minutes or so, so it's going to give guys the opportunity to come into the pits, I think, and to have those stops. We'll see if anyone takes that opportunity or not. That does seem to be the better way. I've had a couple of people come in there. I think that's the AOD. Yeah, the AOD Racing HPD in the pits from this incident earlier. Another car on its way out through the pits. So people taking opportunity right now to come and have a little bit of a service, it seems. In comes the Apex Racing Group Purple from third. So he's going to come in and get probably a little bit of a splash and go back out again. So again, this is something that throws strategy wide open.
It very much does. And that's what we'll see, of course. But look on the outside here, Jimmy, for the exit of the Center S is here onto that first straight through the Curva del Sol, and you see the amount of marbles offline already. This is quite drastic, so passing around that corner is going to be very difficult for prototypes getting out there on those marbles with their tyres and picking them up, of course. A lot of cars taking advantage, as we mentioned, of the virtual safety car to come in for service. As we really have struggled to find the incident, as we're having 5 minutes under virtual safety car apparently. 5 minutes under virtual safety car, so, well, perhaps a time to talk about some of the other sponsors for this race, Jimmy.
Yes, indeed. While we have that instant checked for you guys, just again to bring us another message from the sponsor of this race, which is Sim Experience, and brings you the Sim Vibe by Sim Experience. That is an advanced multi-dimensional audio-based feedback software that utilises 1 to 8 bass transducers, better known as butt kickers or bass shakers, to provide the correct physics-based vibrations at each corner and throughout your simulator. Check that out at simexperience.com. Again, drop the E, simexperience.com.
Well, there you go, simexperience.com for your sim racing needs. And that's sim experience without the E. Right, Jimmy?
Without the E, yeah. Make sure you drop the E, otherwise you're not going to find what you're looking for.
I'm staying away from that point, but as we'll go back to looking at our race cars, Fusion Racing leading the way in prototype with Fusion Racing Blue in second place, the Apex Racing Group Purple in third, Team Bushwing Yellow in fourth, and Torque Freak Sunset in fifth place. As we are going to wait for the virtual safety car to come back in about 2 minutes. Your GT3 field, AOD Racing with 49 Motorsports in second place, German Sim Racing, the Road Bar Stewards Black in the fourth spot, and Graphite Racing in fifth, down in GTC, Vendaval Sim Racing White, Black Star Racing GTC, German Sim Racing 255. Then we have Sim RC Melon, and of course in fifth place Road Bar Stewards Blue. So bit of change going on in GTC, more than we've seen before perhaps, Jimmy, as Bushwing Red and Blackadder actually dropped back a lot, and they were all over each other for fourth and fifth earlier on.
It may have just been a bad time to stop. Just a quick point I wanted to make about the virtual safety car. Only 15 seconds now until we go green, so that's coming soon. But being under virtual safety car means you are stuck with the traffic around you. So when you go green, you have to put all that slow traffic on the restart. So counting down now, here we go. And there you go, green flag race is back underway again. And back up to race speed. So again, these prototypes have been mixed in with GTC, especially Fusion Racing Blue, who I've just had a quick look at, is behind a bunch of GT traffic coming onto the main straight already. So whereas in the comparison, the Fusion Racing car currently leading the race, the 59 car, had no traffic, so a nice easy restart from them. Hopefully we'll see a nice eased restart, because people tend to get a little bit antsy when the restart happens. They want to try and get under racing straight away. And we said before, tyres are cold, brakes are cold, worst time to try and attack someone at that point.
Speaking of worst times to do anything, Fusion Racing coming up behind a slow prototype in their class. And a group of GT cars heading up towards turn 7 here as they're going to go around the outside of their lapped competitor. I think that's one of the bottom teams. That's NAB Racing in your prototype field they're getting past. That's now boxed in behind a Porsche and a Mercedes here from GTC and GT3. But they'll weave their way through. So Peter Smith in that car as we have just crossed, Jimmy, the 5 minutes past the halfway point in today's race. Halfway into our inaugural round for 2017. It's been great so far.
Has been, and I hope we see this action throughout the season. Of course, if you're Fusion Racing, the 59 car right now, you've got a big smile on the face. The race has gone entirely your way so far. Peter Smith, I don't think has actually got out the car just yet, so a really nice mature drive from him so far. That's a point we have to bring up as well, of course, is multiple drivers as well. Each team has to have at least 2 drivers signed up for this event, so we will see a driver swap from the Fusion Racing car at some point, just not now. But I think the more time Peter spends in the car, the better it seems for that Fusion Racing 59 car.
It would absolutely seem that way. Fusion Racing have been doing a fantastic job. They've been leading all day, as has Vendaval Sim Racing White. And AOD Racing GT actually took the lead fairly early on from, I believe it was the car of one of the other GT machines, actually, and I completely blanked my brain, which is a bad thing. And it was actually TNT Gold.
We've got Torque Freak Racing Sunset have just spun going into T1. These are the guys who were running in 4th place, and it's not spun. Oh no, that was awful. The number 67 GT car comes back onto the circuit, drifts back onto the circuit whilst facing the wrong way and into the path of James Ewens in that Torque Freak Racing Sunset car. That is an unacceptable move by that GT car, and something that I would see to think will be punished quite severely.
I'll have to show you the replay of that one and exactly what happened for them, but that's going to be something Race Control we expect will take us a very severe look at. Jimmy, talk us through what happens there.
Here comes the replay. You see the SLS coming back onto the circuit, drifting, not in control of the car, right into the line of James Ewens, and that is, again, the contact and damage now to that Torque Freak Racing Sunset car, who were running very well in 4th position, and that's just unacceptable in my mind. Looks like the caution flag has been flown. Caution flag flown.
Full course caution will be in effect on the racetrack now, moments after we just finished the virtual safety car period, so we'll get this one sorted out, I suspect, as it was one of your 3rd or 4th place runners in prototype getting taken out by a rejoining GT car there, Jimmy, so not ideal circumstances.
It's not, but I don't believe that's why the flag was flown, because he was up to racing speed well before well before anything happened there. I'm going to have a quick look back for the replay, see what we can find, what the reason for this one is. Oh, I think I found it. I think it's Blackadder Motorsport. I think I found it. They're off the circuit. That is the number 67 car. Just see if I can go back for the replay. Yeah, it's there we go. And yeah, it's instant. We saw it was Blackadder there and Jake Fox, the GT car. He just went off the circuit and basically stayed there. So aside from possibly ruining someone's race, he then parks his car side of the road and then throws a full course caution. So poor driving there from Jake Fox, I'm going to have to say.
Certainly was, and we'll have to see what Race Control will say about that, but we'll wait now whilst they catch up to the safety car, and I think we are going to pop away for a quick commercial break in just a moment's time whilst this gets sorted out, and we'll hopefully be back in a few moments' time towards the end of this caution period. We'll have a bit of a further look to see what Race Control will do, so catch us on the other side.
PJ Sturgis here, driver of the number 57 Nemo Light car and number 57 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series Ford Fusion here at Thompson Speedway for the World Series weekend. It's one of the biggest races of the year for us here, so looking forward to the feature tomorrow. I'll be starting 12th on the grid after winning the last race in our series, so definitely looking forward to it. Had a good car today and looking to improve on it for tomorrow. Last night and the night before I was on iRacing trying some SK Modifieds here at Thompson. No, it's a much heavier car. It reacts a lot slower than one of these NEMA Midgets does, but I was at least able to get my feet wet in the track and find a few different lines that I liked running here. The laps going around and getting to a rhythm in my head before going out today, so it definitely helps you get warmed up and helps get your head in the right place is what I tell people. So I started actually racing up at Londonderry Speedway in New Hampshire, racing quarter midgets for a couple of years back in 1996. And then started in 1998 over here at Little T Speedway, just off of turns 3 and 4. It's at racing quarter midgets, and moved up to full-size midgets now. So it's been a part of my life ever since I was 6 years old. I've known Kevin for a while when he raced the modifieds. I'm a huge modified fan, so I always followed those guys around to the races and helped him direct him towards this series. He was always looking for something else to race, and kind of got him over here now. still coming around to it, but yeah, it's cool racing another iRacing staff member. So I wonder if they give you those I Let You Win awards here in real life. We got to get one of those sometime.
The challenges that the midget presents is first is aero. With the modified, we don't really deal with aero. It's just mechanical grip. And this, you got a huge wing on it, and the car weighs 1,200 pounds. Does some weird things to the car that you got to get used to. It's just totally unique from anything I've raced.
This was my 3rd year in the Peak Series, and I had 2 years in the World Championship Grand Prix Series before that. Some of the drivers there in the Peak Antifreeze Series are just top-notch guys that I know if you were to put them in one of these real cars, they could handle it because their racecraft just can't be matched. So having a lot of fun racing the Blank Paint Series. The sports car racing is one of my favorite forms of racing there is, and looking to kind of step that up. This year, we're 4th in points going into the Nürburgring here, so it's a bit of a stretch to get that title in that one too, but next year, I really want to look to stepping up my road racing skills and trying to find a little bit extra there to beat those guys at Coanda and Redline. Each driver has different strengths and weaknesses, and you got to kind of figure out who's good at what. I think I find myself to be a little bit better qualifier than I am a racer sometimes on roads, so I've been the kind of the qualifying guy to start it. Put the other guy, William Levesque, in to finish the race because he has very good race pace, and actually my brother Jake is also my teammate on there, so it's kind of the pressure of being able to perform for your team. You don't want to be the one who screws it up and crashes the car in the first hour of the race, of course. So looking forward to the Nürburgring to try to see what we can do in the points in there, but if not, definitely looking forward to next year.
Welcome back to the DGFX Racing Series here. 3 hours of Interlagos brought to you by Sim Experience. We are live. Rachel Whiteford and Jimmy Broadbent here on the commentary for you. We are 1 hour and 43 minutes into this race under caution. Full course yellow for the 3rd time in today's race after 2 cautions. A virtual safety car now back on the yellow, Jimmy, for a fairly big incident in turn 1 involving Torque Freak Racing Sunset and a GT car.
Yes, it was a bit of a messy incident. We did show a replay of it before we went to break there. Just a very bad rejoin from the GT car. It was actually one of the leading GT cars as well. I need to try and find. I think it was Black Star. Sorry, it wasn't. I'm lying. I forget the name of the DT now. But it was a very frustrating thing to watch, especially as a prototype driver, just seeing absolutely no respect or given to the coming back onto the circuit there and just pretty much ending Torque Freak chances for a high pit result. I mean, luckily, of course, we do have the the caution flag being out now, so a little bit of time for them to go back and get that repaired. But just on the last lap now, as the lights have gone out on the rough safety car.
It certainly has, as the field have been sorted out, of course, and cars have gotten wave rounds that they have needed. A couple of cars in different positions, of course. The leader has been picked up, but of course the cars behind are mixed in, so this will be an interesting restart for us, but it is the leader behind the safety car, so it'll make things a little bit easier in that regard. But one more lap to go before we restart here, and Fusion Racing Blue just behind them, actually, with another car splitting them. One of the laps down prototype machines. It's a very late wave round by 2 GT cars. They might have to give us another lap of yellow here as they take their option on the late side, and they're doing that now. Could have gone a bit sooner, boys, but I think they just got those wave rounds from the marshals, so they'll do their best to get to the back of the grid before this one goes back to Green Flag Racing. Jimmy, we're nearing the 2nd hour complete in about 15 minutes. Expecting pit stops in about maybe 20 minutes, the way this has been going so far, 25 minutes possibly. These guys will make it to the end on 2 stops from what we've seen. This caution might make it about 25 though.
For some of the GTs, that might be as little as just 1 stop left from them, depending on how much fuel they have in the tank now. HPDs will likely be 2 stops or more, depending again on what they have in the tank at the moment. So again, these cautions we're getting, they just throw strategy wide open. I mean, it's your ideal strategy is going for the race and having no hiccups, no spins, no damage, no cautions or anything. That's how you plan the race. So it's always good as a team to have a contingency plan in case maybe a caution is flown or damage is taken, to be able to then come back and make that strategy work. We're still getting wave bars now, a little bit late I think in the caution period, seeing as we are now coming up to the last proper corner really of Interlagos, obviously just coming into the last sector now. Peter Smith is sort of readying up to go here, so I'm wondering if that's the last of the GTs through. Maybe that's it now. I think maybe the race director leaving it as that. As the lights coming back on in the car, they have come back on, so I think they're going to do another lap now.
I think that's looking likely. Yep, the lights are back on the pace car, so one more time around we think. We'll see that soon.
I think just because the cars aren't all in place at this point, just trying to make sure that everyone is round in the right place. A bit obviously better to do that than to have people go green all mixed up again. We see that during the virtual safety cars, although I'm just having a look down the field now. Where is Fusion? Yeah, so this brings the field right back together again. I mean, we talked about this before. The thing is, in between Fusion Racing and the Fusion Racing Blue is a lapped HBD. Now, I'm not sure they're going to get waved around or not. I think they're going to just stay there. So that actually puts a little bit of a gap between the leader and second place, which I'm sure Fusion Racing Blue will be a little bit upset about because they want to try and be as close as they can. The thing is, behind them, James King, who's been driving pretty well in that Bushing Racing Yellow HBD, is right up now behind the Fusion Racing Blue car. So I think we're going to see a very active restart when they do get going. Let's see if those lights have turned off. Yeah, the lights are back off again now, so I think this is going to be the last lap. So keep an eye on that 238 on the restart.
We certainly will have to see what they will do in this one. Bushwink Racing Yellow there, going to be a factor here. We know they've had some speed with them, of course, and Talk Freak Sunset are not too far back, not too disadvantaged by that incident, of course. They are close enough to the front, so we'll see if they can make traction forwards, of course. But Bushwink Yellow, as Jimmy points out, definitely a potential threat at the start, right behind Fusion Racing Blue. And like you say, Jimmy, that lap car could be the roadblock they need.
Could be, and I mean, for the Fusion car, I don't think they're under any sort of threat or any sort of immediate threat from their teammate. Of course, there will be communication between the two teams there, so I wouldn't expect to see any sort of wheel-to-wheel dicing between the two. That's the biggest threat is behind them, because as well as having the Bushwink car behind them as well, the Apex Racing Group purple car is there as well, and behind them is a damaged Talk Freak Racing Sunset car, although there's a bit of GTC traffic in the way between those two. So I wonder how that car is now. We haven't really seen it run since the incident, so we'll have a look at their top speed, of course. Top speed tends to be the thing affected when you have aero damage around here. I still think we need to keep our eyes on this 238 car. I think James King's been really feisty in his stint so far. He showed a lot of promise, but put off some good moves, brought that car up into third place, and now I think he's hungry for more. So here we go then. So coming through the last part of the circuit now. Again, that I think that lap traffic, which is currently sitting on track in second behind the Fusion Racing car, I think we see that dart out of the way pretty quickly. I would hope so anyway. So these guys can get under and get racing again.
Certainly expect to see that in just a moment's time, as we're going to head down now towards the final corners and this restart back underway. So my nationality is actually being debated in the chat, Jimmy. That's a unique situation.
Yeah, I mean, I try to ignore chat most of the time.
Apparently they think I'm American, so I don't know why they would think that, but as it stands, we get ready for this green flag to fly once again here at Interlagos, and we're going to get ready to go racing. So I'll go back to my English accent because that was just weird. But pace car will be off this time by Fusion Racing, with Peter Smith in the car. Will be going back, leading this field to green. Watch for him to accelerate in the restart box.
Here we go then. You see Peter Smith just getting right up behind the iRacing rough safety car now, which is going to peel in just before the hat section there on the circuit, and that'll be Peter Smith's cue to go pretty much. Here we go then. So safety car pulls in, Peter Smith now controlling the field, and there we go, foot down, and a bit of a bad start there for the Bushwink Racing car, the Fusion Blue car. So the Fusion Racing Blue car loses 2 positions at the start there, so that's both Bushwink and Apex Racing Group purple car passed, and James getting so wrong.
Huge incident.
He had that, we saw him have that again, we saw him have that overtaking another car, and the caution is back out.
Yes, huge moment there as sideways goes the Bushwink Racing yellow car. We're going to replay for you. Bushwink Yellow gets sideways going into the braking into turn 1, hits the wall, ricochets back out, hits the lap down car. spins around on the restart. That is definite full course yellow territory as cars have to take evasive action to get away from them. Yellow flag back out here for the second time. We managed about 200 meters on that restart, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's just the thing, we talk about this at restarts, and unfortunately for the Bushwick Racing yellow car, it looks like that race, that is going to be severe damage, suspension, damaging that car, crabbing, and then opting to tow it to the pit lane. But that's what we talk about, and this is the frustrating thing, especially when you're a driver, you're looking just to get back into the race where you make these moves at the start, and the car isn't the same as you expect it to be because everything is cold. You go into T1, that's what happened to James there, just caught out by the cold tyres. The car twitched, he had nowhere to go but into another car, and really damaged.
Certainly is, and that was a huge moment, and that car looks to be out of this race. They've had to tow back to pit road as, well, that was unusual. We've never seen a car do that in turn 1.
No, not usually, but that's how it goes when everything is cold. The thing is, there is a little bit, I'm just saying, oh no, he actually hit the V Racing Group purple car as well, so both the cars that got past the Fusion Racing blue car got taken out, and the Fusion Racing blue car has damaged that front end, it's missing its front splitter, so there's damage all over the shop there, so lots of cars caught up in that, and the Fusion Racing blue car, a little bit of a instant party there. Let's see who's up where now. Just I think Samba Racing. Yeah, Samba Racing has now moved up the field quite a bit there, as has the Torque Racing Sunset car, which is a long way back actually. Oh no, sorry,
Yeah,
they're catching the safety car, it seems. Sorry, so they're just being waved around at this point. So, but the Torque Racing Sunset car, who got caught up in the incident a couple of laps ago, has been given a bit of a break, and now it's back up to second place.
They are indeed, so we'll see what happens into this one as we'll get this field sorted out again to go back to green again. At least the field is largely in order here, Jimmy. No one really need a wave round at this stage because they didn't get far enough to need one. So this should probably take us, we expect, back up to the across the 2-hour mark to the 1 hour to go region.
And we're hoping that it'll be a quick caution. I mean that under the current regulations, the minimum time for a caution is 3 laps. Of course, we saw another lap added because of the wave rounds last time around. So that's the fastest possible caution we can hope for. So we'll be waiting for that to come round as the prototypes just try and catch up with the safety car at the moment. Peter Smith is our leader in the prototype, still in the Fusion Racing, the normal car. So yet still hasn't found the pace car yet. I'm sure is coming back up to it shortly, as the HPDs are a bit faster than that rough iRacing pace car.
We did joke, of course, that the pace car driver might lead the most laps in this one. It's looking even more likely as he gets to go out for another 3-4 laps in front of the field as they deal with catching him, of course. And probably a long way to go to catch that car as it came out after most of the field, of course, had passed turn 1, so it'll be a full lap until they get up to where he is. And the pace car actually not exactly going slowly at this moment, so we'll see the field cycle through here, and a few cars promoted. Fusion Blue still in the pit road after their involvement in that incident, I believe. Samba Racing Team as well. Team Vikings Modnier are, I believe, on the racetrack, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's all going around as well. So they seem to have benefited from that at this point with Hans kind of Hansen at the wheel of that car. That's a Viking name I've ever heard one. So obviously racing in the right team. And just having some GTC car pulling into the pit there, maybe for a stop again. For that GTC car, that should be the last stop for them, so this might be good. If you can come in now as a GT car and go to the end, I mean, that's it. All you've got to worry about now is driving around, no more pit stops, so that's an interesting.
Certainly is, and I think we are looking at this as a definite window here, so 1 hour and 5 minutes remaining in this motor race, and that will be, I think, for everybody here. If we get one caution, this will be enough for every single car to make this will change, Jim. So this is a critical timing really for this to fly.
It is, and I mean we spoke about the pit stops for the HPGs before. They're just under an hour from what we had from Alvin earlier on. We're being told
we've had a spin as well, under caution. That takes effort. Yeah, maybe under yellow spinning.
Maybe just trying to catch up the rest of the pack, but easy enough to do. If you're going slow, then you start going fast. Let's see, 25 car. So that's a GTN racing car having that spin. A little bit embarrassing from them, but I don't think any.
Oh, they're still facing backwards. We'll have to keep pointing this out. In fact, we'll show them on the camera. That is GTN Racing with Conor Greiger. As yep, he was spun around under caution. So, well, it's your turn to get mocked on RaceSpotTV for a silly.
He just missed the wall. He was very lucky there. I think he just tapped the wall ever so slightly, but I'm not quite sure what happened there. He had plenty of room to slow down, but as soon as he saw the car in front of him slowing down for the pace car, he just slammed the brakes on, and the car obviously spun, so shame for him. But embarrassed he is, but the car isn't damaged, which is the main thing, of course.
Certainly is. He was going too fast, catching up the field, and he tried to brake a little too hard, and well, cars don't like that, and they tend to face the wrong way, so you learn from your mistakes. At least we hope they do, as he's going to get his position back on the track as it was under caution, so worth being a little bit more patient.
Here we are again. Fusion Racing just sitting behind the Rough Racing safety car. And whilst we have a little bit of a lull in the broadcast, have a quick word from our sponsor of this race, Sim Experience, presenting the AccuForce with unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market. The AccuForce Pro steering system is the only complete plug-and-play direct drive 4C-back wheel for sim races. And again, you can check that out at simexperience.com. Drop the E, simexperience.com.
Definitely worth checking out. From what I've heard, Jimmy, those AccuForce wheels are absolutely fantastic bits of kit. I think I was talking to the likes of, I think it was Martin Cronk. I think he's running one of those, and he absolutely loves what he's got.
Yeah, if you want to have your arms ripped off, then get one of those direct drive. I've had the pleasure of using one once, and they make your arms hurt after a while. You really have to go and make sure your arms are built to drive one of those things. But back to the race quickly, and lights are off on the safety car, so this should be our last lap under caution. A relatively quick caution this time around because the cars are pretty much all in the right place as it is. So Pete Smith again leading the field. The caution lap's about 3 minutes around here, so it's about a 9-minute, 10-minute caution per average, which is it's nice. We've seen longer cautions. I mean, those who watch the recent Daytona 24-hour race will know what I'm talking about. But this one a little bit quicker. Of course, we do have the luxury in sim racing that any debris is quite easily taken away with the hit of the escape button, so we haven't got to worry about that in our iRacing experience.
Certainly not. And you talk about the arms and AccuForce wheels. I know I only personally use a G27, but I'm running the 12 hours of Sebring this year, so I'm actually going to have to go back to the gym and do some arm work just to kind of deal with 3 or 4 hours of racing one of those cars. So, as the bumpy tracks, they get pretty aggressive over long periods of time, so you know, it's something just to take into consideration, because when you get tired you start making mistakes. So you know, it's something even sim racers have to consider. And Mitchell de Jong, of course, global rallycross driver, is something he's actually advocated, that sim racing does require a certain amount of physical fitness.
It does, yeah, and we speak about that as well. We say if you do have the 4 seatback wheels, and of course the very sort of heavy pedals you get nowadays, which have 50 kilos, 60 kilos on the brake, you're gonna have an achy left foot after that, or a right foot depending on what car you're driving. But yeah, so it does require a certain level of fitness as well, and also you've got to keep hydrated, guys. This is a race spot public service announcement. If you're racing for a long time, make sure you've got a drink next year. It's very easy to get dehydrated, even in this fake racing, because obviously when you're concentrating, you have the tendency to sweat a bit, so make sure you keep hydrated out there. But anyway,
and beer 12 does not count as we come to the final corner. Do not drink and drive. Do not sim race and drive. That's our public safety announcement over, as the lights are in fact off on the roof pace car. Fusion Racing will lead this restart with Torque Freak Sunset in second place. Samba Racing Team in third, Team Viking Monier in third, fourth place even, and German Sim Racing.de 151 in fifth. We'll be going back to green flag conditions now, as we are 45 seconds from the 2-hour mark.
Here we go then. Peter Smith will again lead us off. Torque Freak Racing is the car now looking most poised to make a start from this, but he's going to have to react to Peter, of course, in front. There he goes, Peter goes, and there goes Torque Freak Racing. Samba Racing, our car in third, is actually behind a lot of traffic at the moment, as you can see, is sort of making their way through at the moment, so they're only 3 seconds back. But Torque Freak, this is their best opportunity they had all race to be close to the number 59 car. And we did say before that you've got to be careful on the restart, you've got to be careful of the brakes and the tyres, but this is where, once James Ewens has that tyres and brakes of potential, this is where he needs to push. It's close to the 59 car, and that is for the overall race lead. Well, saying that, looks like the Torque Freak Racing car, yeah, it is still damaged, it's still down on top speed, so it's staying out there damaged. It isn't going to be able to pass on top speed. Look how far down it is on top speed. You saw how much the 35 car, which is a lapped HPD, actually closing it coming up down the straight.
He certainly did, and that's something we'll have to keep under consideration and have a look at whether they can hold this spot. or whether they'll in fact have to head down pit road as Jimmy has alluded. We'll look back to your GTC field, and Vendaval Sim Racing leading at the moment again from the rest of their field. Although behind them, very close, Blackstar Racing are here, as there are a few lapped cars as well. Sim RC Melon also not too far away in this one, Jimmy, so they are going to be shaking this up.
It's very close in our GTC field, which is what we like to see. These cars are really just made for that close racing. So it's the spec series we've seen all over the world that use the Porsche 911 as their car of choice, as an HPD sort of sitting on the apex there for the 76 car. A little bit difficult. I'm told we're having a little bit of battle right now between the 211 and the 292 car. See if we get a camera on that quickly.
And what we have going on there is, at the moment, the 211 is Overdrive Performance. I don't think they're actually in the same position lap-wise as the car they are racing with, but still some great on-track action there, of course.
The closer one on track is between Graphite Racing and the Road Bar Stewards, who are currently ahead of Graphite going into T1, that 292 car, sort of glued to the back. Car in the inside there, slow. You can see, I think there might be damage. Bushfink Blue off.
That was Bushfink Blue, I think, by a quick glance at the paint scheme. It was, in fact, Bushfink Blue's Mercedes, so we'll see if they have to tow, otherwise they'll get a caution again. I don't think that's anything anybody would like in this race.
Just having a look and see what happened there. Looks like the Bushfink Blue car went up the inside of the 28 GTC car, which sort of didn't actually acknowledge he was there, and turned in on Alan McCain there in the SLS. So that's issue for them. The car seems to be okay. Just they're back onto circuit now, back up to racing speed, but they've lost a lot of time.
Yeah, they certainly have. And well, they're going to get themselves back running again. We'll look at our GT3 field. This has definitely changed so far, and it's a good solid lead still from AOD Racing GT. German Sim Racing's number 3 car is in a good solid second spot, with the Road Bar Stewards in white car, in the 3rd spot. Graphite Racing and the 211 from Overdrive Performance in 5th. Down in GTC, Jimmy Vendaval still doing well. Blackstar behind them, being caught by Sim RC Melon at the moment, so that's a fight we've got brewing.
I'm not quite sure what happened to Strawberry, because they were running pretty high themselves. I think they must have been caught up in an instant, because they are running quite far down the order. Haven't quite got a lap on them yet, but they're quite far down in terms of these guys. But Jenny...
well, speaking of spots though, we've had a pit stop actually from I think Bushfink Yellow. They've come into the pit road for their service and repairs, so that car is down and out now. They've actually dropped a few laps over your leaders, 4 laps down now. That's surprising. They must have come in instantly, because they've lost a lot of time and they're out of contention at all here.
They have indeed, and the fight now that I'm keeping an eye on is the battle for P2 overall at the moment, because Torque Freak Racing Sunset, having lost a lot of top speed and downforce, they were second after the restart. They've already dropped 14 seconds to the race leader, which has allowed Samba Racing and Team Vikings Morley HPD to just close up and take second and third. So the podium now has completely changed. Samba Racing and Team Vikings, they just weren't really in it at the start of the race, and through instance and through issues they found themselves in podium positions. But behind them as well, or sorry, in front of them I should say, is a German SimRacing.de car going up the inside of the Samba Racing car. That's for second place there. I missed that on my screen, sorry, but it looks like the Jens Ludwig there in the car had a fantastic run up the straight, managed to take second place away, and now they're up onto the second step of the podium.
They are in a fantastic positioning for them to take advantage of this one, and a position they didn't really think they'd be in today's race. But as German Sim Racing moving forwards on, of course, Samba Racing in second. In the moment, Team Vikings Moynier has dropped back to 4th place, as Jimmy just mentioned.
Well, Rachel,
down to GTC, Blackstar and Sim RC Melon. We thought there'd be a fight, and Melon have just gotten through.
Have, yeah, just at T1 they got up the inside and just put the car in a nice place and got through. Looks like they actually caught Blackstar napping a little bit. I don't think they were quite expecting the move, but let's see if they can get back into contention. That Melon car's really on the charge at the moment, and because of the caution, of course, the Vendaval Sim Racing white car isn't too far up the road, about 2 or 3 seconds, 3-4 seconds are up the road, so not so much of a gap for Sim RC to close up as it was earlier on before the caution. So that will be right on the mind now of Gianni Vecchio in that 799 car, just looking forward and trying to ignore the Blackstar Racing buzzing around in the rearview mirror.
It's definitely something he'll have to keep his eye on, of course, as he tries to focus on the traffic that might be coming a little faster. It's very hard to watch a guy behind you and try and deal with them, Jimmy, in close quarters with you in your class, but when you've also got other cars from different classes coming up to lap you as well, trying to distinguish the two can be hard sometimes for these guys. But these are the best of the best, of course, and they're doing what they can. But heading up now to complete another lap. We're in the final hour of racing here. 55 minutes to go. We know everyone that has pitted under that last yellow flag. So strategy kind of out the window right now. Go time, Jimmy.
Yeah, we just had, sorry, before we get into that conversation, we just had another change in position for overall P3 between Samba Racing and Team Vikings Molyneux. Molyneux just going up the inside there at turn 1, so Hans Gunnar Hansen, the wheel of that car, making that move stick. And Samba Racing, as quickly as it gained 2 positions, it's lost 2 positions back down to 4th place again. It really looks like the Team Viking Molyneux and the German SimRacing.de car are running a bit of a faster pace than the Samba car, and now we're going to have a battle for overall P2, as look how much faster Hans is through the middle sector. He's called back loads of time through there and is now going to have the slipstream going up the hill. Let's see how good his exit is out of turn 12. Nice exit using all the runoff there, and he's going to be deep in the slipstream. I think he's going to catch a bit of it and get dragged into it. He isn't going to quite be close enough for a move into T1, but if he does get a bit of a slipstream, he might be for close for a move into T3. Although saying that, I thought that German SimRacing.de car is actually flying away in a straight line.
They absolutely are. The German SimRacing car definitely making a move forwards as we've just... I might be a little thick, Jimmy, but Fusion Racing, you're in 5th.
I think they might have come in for a pit stop there. Let's have a quick look. I'm not quite sure what happened there. That's happened outside of our...
So 152 car in for a stop and go.
It was a pit for the Fusion car, so that is completely on track, so nothing to worry about if you're a Fusion Racing fan. That's probably going to be their last stop as well, so they're going to hopefully go to the end now. I wonder now, this is sort of the time for the for German SimRacing.de and Team Viking Molyneux to make up that time and try and push back. But now saying that, it looks like Fusion is an opportune time because we're now coming into some heavy traffic for these for P2 and P3 in the HPD field. How's the Sim Racing? Oh my God!
That was contact. That was wide there.
That was a Zonta move if I ever seen one there. Using the traffic to its extent as a Sim Racing D car gets pushed off to the German D car gets pushed off to the left, and Team Viking Molyneux just takes advantage and goes up to 2nd place. Fantastic! Oh, and then contact there as the German SimRacing.de car runs to the back of Team Viking Molyneux. No damage, I don't think, to either car, but a little bit scary if you're in that German, if you're in the Team Viking car.
Certainly is. There's very, very active on-track action going on right now. As these guys are having to be a little more patient, though. German racing car is trying to get back at the Vikings, but right now the Vikings are holding off their competitors. The German Sim Racing 151 machine definitely aggressive, but a big run here, boxed in behind a Porsche. That was the Porsche that spun earlier on, actually, from the GTM Racing.
Look at this
right on the back.
This straight line speed, though, from the German SimRacing.de car is so much faster than the Team Viking car. I just looked at it on the straight. It's about 10 Ks down the straight. That's the downforce difference they're running around here. We talked about at the start of the race how downforce is pretty much a hit or miss round here because you have the very high downforce midsection. Then you have the first and third section, which is just all about having a low downforce, fast, slippery car. And this is where we're seeing the complete difference. We said how I saw the Team Viking car close up in the last sector from the midsection because it had that speed through there, but now traffic's come into play as well. It's sort of stopping that advantage of the fast car in the midsection. Now watch when we come onto the straight. Watch how much more straight line speed Jans Lopez has in that 151 car compared to Hans in the German the Team Viking Molyneux car. Here we go then, turn 12, a little bit wide there for the Viking car, but no worries. Now look, he's just going to close right back onto him now. Here we go then, so you've got the speed comparison on your screen at the moment. Look how much faster that is climbing there. Now we've got slipstream as well. We're already doing the max speed of the car in front. We're doing 285 Ks, so we're pulling out to the left, and that is going to be a passing position. No, it's not. He backs out of it again. Slipstream diminishing, and actually no, goes back on the inside there. I thought Team Viking might put across, but that is a position change there for your overall lead. And now watch the Viking car not able to keep up in the straight line, even with the slipstream.
That was huge, Jimmy. Of course, we saw how far back he was coming out of the final corner, and the overspeed advantage was significant. So impressive running there from your current actual lead of the race. Team Vikings giving up that race lead now to German Sim Racing's 151 car. That car looking incredibly fast, but now arriving at traffic, so this could all be lost very soon. As look, more downforce on the Team Vikings car, as they're going to catch right back up here and change this one for position. That was certainly very exciting. We're seeing the moment between these two. They are really pushing the number here. That is insane, Jimmy. You can see this on your screens, folks. Look at the cars in front of them. The track is literally blocked. There is nowhere to go in this traffic.
Looks like Jens almost had to go around the outside there at T11, which is something you don't want to do now. Again, having this straight line speed is going to really help Jens, because he's going to be able to get past these cars quicker in a straight line than the car behind him, which is a big advantage in endurance racing, just having that bit more punch in a straight line. That on the flip side, that's going to suffer with Team Viking Molnir, because all their speed's in the corners. If there's a GTC car sitting on the apex mid-corner, then you're going to have to lose that speed, whereas that straight line speed is always there. So I think now we're going to see Jens pull away a little bit.
We certainly are, and the car's not giving up ahead of them, as I believe that's one of the Fusion cars just up ahead of them. There's Fusion Blue about to go a lap down, actually, if these guys can catch them. Along with Simatok Esport, last two cars in the lead lap, 7th and 8th position here, stuck in traffic. And that's a German sim racing car. The leader in front of him as a car spins, a 911 spins there in turn number 5. Giving you a replay of what happened there, and there was no contact that we saw. That was a 23 car of work in progress racing. Unfortunately, his traction was also work in progress, as he turns in a little too tight and makes contact with one of the Audis. That was third place in class car there. The 211 overdrive performance, and just gets put sideways. And look at the car scatter there, Jimmy, on the replay. To avoid this one and not be involved, another Porsche will spin out. I nearly said roof because I'm so used to that.
A little bit scary when you come across going through into T3 and there are cars all over the shop, but just about well handled there by everyone involved. Just a quick update on our battle for the lead. Team Viking at Molnir actually pitted on the last lap, so they're in for their pit stop now, and had a driver change as well, I think. From
they're off pit road now, just leaving pit road, as they've got that out of the way, so this could be an advantage to them. We'll see how the fresh tyres will benefit them, but big cluster there in turn 5, Jimmy. That could have been disastrous with how dense the traffic was packed.
Here's something interesting. The Fusion Racing blue car is now in front of our leader and making it a little bit difficult for him to get past. And bear in mind, the Fusion Racing blue car is actually a lap down, so he's not making it easy. Obviously thinking of the sister car around here. Yeah, that's a little bit cheeky by Paul there. I think he really should have made it a little bit easier for the actual leader at the moment to get past, but they're still behind, still waiting, and all the time that he is losing behind the teammate here of the Fusion Racing car is going to obviously benefit the Fusion Racing car, the 59 car, who's currently sitting, let's see where they are in the positions right now. Where are they? They are in 4th place. I thought they'd DC for a minute. They're in 4th place. They had me panic for a second, and they're only 9 seconds behind this, so
action definitely still abound here in the DGFX series, brought to you by Sim Experience. 3 hours of Interlagos, and the action is still alive and kicking here in hour number 3. We're coming up on 45 minutes remaining in this one. Who's going to win overall? We don't know at this stage. The race is still all up in the air. Things might be somewhat decided down in the other classes. AOD Racing GT leading with a good margin in GT3. And down in your GTC category, Vendeval Sim Racing White also doing the same. A good lead for them. But as it stands, of course, the lead in prototype is still very much open. German Sim Racing leading right now. Jimmy has incident for the 935 in the final corner. Take us through it.
See if I can find that on my screen, sorry, before you jump that on me. It was the War Dogs GTC car, so they've already been in the wars this race, if you excuse the pun. Actually, they weren't involved. They were sort of a little bit free there. It was a DTC car. I think that was maybe the Bushink blue car. Again, having an incident there from what I see. I'm just seeing that out of the corner of my eye. It might not have been them. See if I can get a camera on them quickly. I think it might have been. It looks like, yes, it was. Sorry, it was the Team Bushink Racing blue car. They're going up the inside of the 381 car, and there's just contact between the two, and 2 spinners there. But back up to racing speed now.
Yes, they certainly are, and we're back racing once again. Of course, German Sim Racing car is doing a fantastic job here, but coming back up to lap Fusion Racing Blue, which is not what they want to see happen, but the gaps have opened up. 3.6 seconds back to Samba Racing in 2nd. second place. 4X HPD in third. These guys all do have to pit, Jimmy, and that could make a difference.
They do, as does the German sim racing car, and ooh, very close there. It's very hard to tell if they're pitting or not. Look at the straight line speed again, 285, 286 k's before braking for T1. That's about, from what I've seen, about 10 k's faster than anybody else. So obviously going for a extreme setup option, which seems to be working for them so far. Samba racing car in the background there, still in contention. The interesting split you want to look at is the time difference between Fusion Racing and Team Viking Molnir. These are the guys that were together on track. Team Molnir was, and we've got a yellow flag. We've got a yellow flag, a caution flag has been flown, and there's a prototype going off. That was the Fusion Racing blue car going off there. A response there maybe to the yellow flag.
Not what we expected to see there, as Fusion Racing Blue have indeed run wide, but not what we expected to see, as they did actually spin the car. I think they made contact with the wall there, but it was because they just a fortuitous incident there, Jimmy, as they got on the rumble strips and spun that car around, slapped the inside wall, and they'll get themselves going again, of course. But we are under caution. We'll try and find out for you folks what actually happened.
I'm just having a look at the moment. I'm not sure why the caution flag was flown.
Was it thrown before them? I'm not entirely sure what happened.
I'm not really sure. I think that what happened there is that they reacted to the caution flag being flown and then they spun. Obviously having to try and slow the car down, but we'll have to get back to that one, guys. There's no clear incident from what I can see on circuit. There's no damaged cars aside from the SMT car, which has been damaged all race. So again, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see if we can keep an ear on race control and see what they're saying.
We certainly will. Back at the caution here with 44 minutes remaining on the clock in the DGFX series. They brought to you by Sim Experience, and run through our top fives as they stand. German SimRacing.de leading the way overall in your prototype field, with Samba Racing Team second, 4X HPD in third, Fusion Racing and Torque Freak Racing Sunset in fifth. Down in GT3 it's AOD Racing GT with German SimRacing.de's 3-car, Graphite Racing and 49 Motorsports in fourth, Overdrive Performance 211 in fifth. Down in your GTC field is SimRC Melon leading the way after a pit stop by Vendaval White. I believe they're actually on pit road, or just come back off pit road, I should say. Blackstar Racing GTC in second place, German Sim Racing's 255 in third, with Team Bushfink Red and German Sim Racing in fifth. It's definitely a great day, Jimmy, for the German Sim Racing team, as they're all over the track. They're in every class's podium at the moment.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you can hope for as a team. Of course, I feel like this is again another thing that's going to really benefit Fusion Racing. They've pitted in already, had their stop, and now they're effectively getting that pit stop for free. So that's a really good turn of luck for Fusion Racing, who are already having a pretty solid race, obviously running pretty much at the front for the entire thing. Just going to have we'll have a quick peek of that, but we'll see how it ends up after the stop. There are going to be more stops here during the caution period.
We certainly expect to see more cars heading down pit road for that, but it's definitely going to be a very interesting final 45 minutes. We're into sprint race window, Jimmy. These guys are definitely going to go all out now.
This is it. Final stop's been made. I'm pretty sure everyone at this point would have made their final stop, if not Splash and Jazz, which obviously isn't very good there. And I think we have a couple more laps under the safety car there, so we'll just wait and see who comes in and see. It's so hard to keep an eye on strategy of this sort of thing, because everyone pits under the we've got 60 cars on track. There you go. We've got 60 cars on track, and we can't quite keep an eye on all the strategies there.
It's certainly very busy at the moment. We'll go to a quick ad break. Actually, no, we're waiting because my director has changed his mind. But we are keeping our eyes on what's been developing, of course, as another incident potentially in the Center S's.
It is
Germans. Yes, your leaders. German SimRacing.de's 151 car backwards in the Center S's, and it was a could have got an aero loose from what we're seeing here. The car just going to the Center S's and nothing in particular, and a bit of a looks like a mechanical issue there, Jimmy.
Contact with the GT car through there, so a bit of lucky turn for Jens there. We're doing a good job on that SimRC car for now. I'm not sure if he's damaged or not. We can't really see from here. This is a very, very difficult place for him to get the car turned around again. There's so much traffic. He's having to wait for everybody to go through in what seems like an eternity for that car.
Yep, they're coming back towards the front as some technical issues have plagued one or two cars in this race all race long, and it doesn't seem to be changing now, but German Sim Racing gets to make the embarrassing drive back up to the front where they were running, and they'll keep that lead at the moment. But that was unusual, Jimmy, we'll say, I think is the best phrase to use for this situation, but it's certainly going to liven this up.
I guess so. I mean, obviously for Jens Ledwig, he isn't trapped by that situation, but he's being waved by. I'm unsure whether he's going to be able to have his position back or not. I think he's going to be getting his position back, which I guess is no harm, no foul in that case. But we'll have to wait until they line up again and find out. As you see, Jens just waiting behind the safety car, just waiting to be waved through by the marshals. He can't pass. Obviously will receive a penalty.
Certainly will, and of course incidents under caution do not count for your position, so you will get it back, which is a great situation. But I think the lights are out or close to being out at the stage. Wave rounds are going to go and the lights are still on, so wave rounds this lap, Jimmy.
The wave rounds this lap, and we're going to take this opportunity to go for a quick commercial break. So when we come back, the end of the DGFX World Endurance 3 hours of Interlagos.
It was more than impressive, I have to say. I mean, the track is identical to the real track. I was blown away how realistic it is. Every little bump, every little spray paint, everything is exactly like you were there at the track. It was a great experience. This is a warm-up lap now. Tires to get warmed up. The engine. Breathe a little bit here when you go through that little bump there. And then it's flat pretty much all the way through here, just about. Hard braking. This is the slowest part of the track. And then I've done, I did many races in Formula 3, Formula 2. And then I did the very last race they did there in Group C in 1983 in the 956 Porsche. That's when Beloff got the lap record at the 6:11. I think I was second on the grid with the 6:14 or something. Which was, I mean, those cars were awesome around there, of course, like any car is, that speed. And this is the corner of all corners here, the Schwerenkreuz. Flat all the way into it. And then trail brake all the way into the apex here. And then hard at it again to get good speed down the hill here. Mega fast down this hill here. Just jump from one apex to the next. Gotta be super precise here. I mean, it's almost exactly like the real thing. So, I mean, it is certainly realistic enough to get past the very, a lot of the initial hurdles you have when you try to learn to drive a race car, So, I mean, I think it's an excellent tool to learn how to race for sure, or learn to drive a car on a racetrack.
So welcome back, guys, to the last period, or the last 45 minutes or so of the DGFX Endurance Series here at Interlagos. Under caution at the moment, another incident we had to get cleared up on track. Just waiting now for the safety light car lights to go out and we'll get back underway again. Cars being waved through at the moment. Drivers just getting back into the frame of mind, getting back into that sprint race mentality I mentioned before. Not a long way to go now, and it's all or nothing to the end. German Sim Racing.de leading currently your prototype class. Actually got caught up in a little bit in one of the incidents during caution, but luckily now back at the head of the field, seems to be undamaged, and a bit of excitement I don't think they would have wanted actually.
Certainly not, as we'll get the wave rounds completed. Get ready for what is going to be basically a 40-minute sprint race at this point, Jimmy. Who are your favourites?
Well, I think at this point, Fusion Racing, it's just gone their way entirely. I mean, like I said, they've already stopped. I think they've done their final stop. They're now under caution, so they can save more fuel if they need to do that. and it's just going to be them to the end. They are the fastest guys on track at the moment. We've seen that Team Molyneux, who was actually up with the German sim racing DE car, when they came out the pits, they were 30 seconds behind Team Fusion. They were essentially where the leader was. So, although saying that, this actually works out pretty nicely for Team Molyneux as well, because they've just made their stop as well, and they're now right up behind Talk Fleet Racing Sunset, who aren't really going to provide any sort of issue, I don't think, because of their damage at the moment. So the number 73 and number 59 cars, it's going to be interesting between those two.
It certainly is, Jimmy, and you know what works for me in this race? I've just been passed a bag of Maltesers here in the booth, so I'm very happy right now.
Well, if I had a significant offer, I'm sure I'd be passed through, but for now I have to get my own stuff, so how dare you? How dare you have that?
It's certainly useful, especially when you're doing endurance racing. That's not the point, as the rest of the race rounds will go past, and it's not going to be our prototype leader at the front of the field, I think, at the moment for your prototypes. It's actually one of the lap down cars, so that will certainly make things a little interesting. I think that is the car from... I'm trying to work out who that is. That's WR... No, I can't identify the car.
It was the Road Bar Stewards green car, but they've been let through now, so they're going to get at least a lap back. But they are currently 13 laps down the leader, so obviously they're not really going to... I think the race control doing the right thing to sort of get him out of the way and say that's fine now. So there's still a couple of cars in between positions here. Obviously, if you look on the road, we have the 151 car who's leading, and then we have Samba Racing in second, 62 car. There is a car in between those two on track right now. So there is a little bit of traffic to deal with, but we're going to see if the lights and safety car are still on. The race control...
Do you think they go off maybe this time?
Maybe so, but race control have just affirmed that pit lane is now going to be open this time by, so possibly still one more lap or so to go under this caution period.
Should be expecting one more lap this time by. So it should be lights out this time by the line for the safety car, as your field will get ready for its hopeful final restart. And judging at the time, Jimmy, we're going to be going green with 30 minutes to go.
And that is, like we said before, pretty much a sprint race territory there. I mean, obviously if you've been in the car for a while, you might be a little bit fatigued, although we have seen a couple of new drivers get in the car, especially like the 73 car. We have Nicholas Heim get into the car. He's currently sitting down in 6th place, but fresh legs, fresh eyes, and I'm pretty sure he's ready to go and attack for that podium as the other cars involved. Samba Racing wasn't too quick after the restart. Nacho Llanos, the wheel of that car, sort of fell back a little.
So are you saying, Jimmy, that Samba should get a shake on?
No, I'm not giving you the satisfaction.
You know what? I'm giving myself that, because that was a great pun. We're talking about Samba not being quite as quick as you thought, so it could be time. Puns are terrible. They're my specialty. Sorry.
They're coming into the pits now, though, Samba, and so
4X are heading into pit road. Actually, that's it's Samba and 4X Racing heading onto pit road. So Samba hopefully won't be getting a 4X in the last 30 minutes of the race. But 4X hope they can definitely get Samba.
Well, I don't know, really. I'm not
this is getting worse, isn't it? This is absolutely getting worse and worse. So I'm going to stop.
Sounds made me ill. They're into the pits now. Looks like just a normal service so far. We saw a couple of teams earlier using these caution periods to do driver stops, which is obviously a good idea because driver stops add a little bit of time to the pit stop. So yeah, there you go. There has been a driver change. So Nacho Llanos has got out the car for the Samba Racing, and Baz Winkle is now in the car. So that's difficult to say. So let's see what he can bring to the table. To Nacho, that a little bit slower around at the moment. So hopefully Baz can bring a bit of a renewed sense of enthusiasm to the Samba team.
Well, Samba is quite high energy, so hopefully Baz has had his Weetabix before this one. Yeah, I'm getting a scowl from Jimmy B right now, so I'm going to stop with this.
Scowl.
An internet scowl, yes. I didn't even need to see it to know you were scowling at me. But
scowling.
Jens Ledwig is leading the way in the German Sim Racing 151 car down in your GT3 category. Well, it's German Sim Racing again, but they're on pit road, so it's actually going to be 49 Motorsports out on track with Dexter Castro behind the wheel. And as we head up to your GTC field, Black Star Racing leading the way. As we've also had a pit stop from Vendaval Racing White. They're right down the order due to the shake-up in the traffic, so let's see if they can come back to regain this one for you. But this is really shaking things up, and not a lot of time now to get this one done, Jimmy.
No, we are running now into the last half hour of this event, and any sort of pit strategy now should be over, it should be done, should be completed. It's just now down to the drivers in the cars at this specific moment. And like I said, Fusion Racing 59 car, who are currently sitting in 5th place, are looking probably like the most and the most likely people to come through and maybe take this win. Phil Blythe in the car now. Peter Smith in there for the majority of the race. He did a very good job, did Peter. Very good and mature drive from him, especially in traffic as well. Just seemed to always find the right place to pass and no incidents at all. Same can't be said for the Sister Fusion Racing blue car, who seemed to fall off the pace a bit early on, then got involved in an incident, and then just put themselves into the wall in turn 3. Paul Surley at the win of that one, but he's only down a couple of positions. He's down in 8th place, and again, they should be on their own pit stop. They are a lap down. The only possible people they can really pass now is Simitok Sport, who are the car ahead. So I have to see that move being made quite early on.
Certainly is, of course, and another lap by under safety car for the field, as we're still pacing here at Interlagos whilst the field gets sorted out for this final restart. And we'll see the order of things as they're running, as I believe we have a quick interview from Griffin Rossi from the 667 car in your GT field. That's AOD GT, the guys who've been leading for most of this race. It's Yannick Millman in the car at the moment. Griffin, how have things been going for your guys?
It's pretty crazy out there. You need a good spotter to make sure that you stay out of trouble.
Well, of course, this is probably the closest thing you'll have to an oval race in endurance racing form. Tight, narrow, lots of traffic, and as you mentioned, spotter absolutely a necessity here, but you guys are a little bit down the order now. You're supposed to be running in 2nd place overall. You've been leading most of the race. Do you think Yannick can do what he needs to do here to get you past 49 Motorsports into the front again?
Yeah, we think it should cycle through on its own, but in the event that it doesn't, I think we got good enough pace on everybody to make our way back through naturally, so it'll be fun to watch, but I think it'll be good. So.
Well, hopefully that is the case. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to for your team?
Not necessarily. Steven Schultz has been doing a good job spotting for us. Nice and consistent, and a lot better than the F3 menu in iRacing. Yannick should be able to get around everybody and keep the car safe for hopefully a winning class.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you and the rest of the AOD Racing GT team in that 667 Mercedes AMG, and we'll let you get back to the racing.
All right, take it easy, guys.
Thank you for joining us. That was, of course, Griffin Rossi in the 667 machine. And Gianni Vecchio has also joined us. Gianni, what team are you with?
Yeah, hello first. Yeah, it's a very chaotic race. Because at this, I don't know. After the first caution, I spin, and it was a very unlucky spin. But after that, maybe I did the best laps I've ever did. I went from, I don't know, place 18 or 19 to place 2 in the end. I passed the Black Star Racing car, but then the caution was out, and the problem is here in the DGFX you have to do, there's a target of maximum laps you can do, and I was clearly at the limit. And the problem was that the pit lane was closed and we can't move to the pit. So it was a bit chaotic, but now I'm out and Patrick is in, and hopefully he brings the car home.
And which car is that you're running with again, Gianni?
Sim RC Mellon, the number
RC
7.
Mellon. I thought I recognised the name, but I wasn't sure with so many German teams entered in this race.
Nah.
Yeah, Sim RC have been having a fantastic run today, of course, and especially down in the GTC class. How are you finding this Porsche in multi-class racing? This is really the first time in a big endurance race we've seen this happen, as actually we're just waiting to field, actually big checkup from the whole field, but how have you found this car in these conditions?
Yeah, it's surprisingly it's very good, because you can can see where you have to brake, so, and you know when the GT3 and the HPD have to brake, so you can easily easily know when you have to turn, when you have to brake, and it's quite good because it's not that car is so much on pace. It's like it has the perfect pace for the HPD and GT3 cars, so it's very good for multi-class indeed. Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your race. Any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I hope first of all to our sponsors Home Race and Simmertalk, and then also to Simmer Strawberry. I hope they will bring the car also back home. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Gianni, and hopefully best of luck to you and the rest of the Sim RC cars.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that was, of course, guys from the 667 and the 256 cars who have come to have a chat with us quickly. But, Jimmy, I think, lightest on the pace car out this time. We'll go back to green flag racing finally with 25 minutes left on the clock. It's go time, and there's not a lot of time to get it done.
Hoping this will be our last caution of the race. We want to see a nice, fast end to this race. I mean, in the regulations, it does say every every effort will be taken to not finish the race under caution, but of course sometimes that can't be helped, but we'll see. A lot of people being given end of line penalties. One of the people involved in that was our leading car. It was the in the GT class. That was, who was that? Sorry, I've lost their name now. It was War Dog. Sorry, they were leading the class and got given the end of line penalty, so they go right to the back of the field. I'm not quite sure what that was for. There was no description for that. Quite a few cars given that penalty, but it does mean, of course, having this caution at the end of all the cars now sort of slotting back into place, that we're going to have a very interesting finish, because in your prototype class you have GermanRacing.de leading with a pit stop seemingly to make so far. Fusion Racing, who've been leading for pretty much the entire race, are now in second place, and right behind them a Team Viking Molnier in third, so everyone is very close. And in your DT class we have number 49 Motorsports car, currently driven by Dexter Castro. And we also have the AOD Racing GT car, which had Griffin in here, that 667 car there, so again, more very close battles on track. And then in your DTC class, the action everywhere, we have another German Sim Racing.de car leading their class, and Vendaval Sim Racing White behind them, and then another German Sim Racing.de car in third place. So it's been a good outing for the German Sim Racing team today.
It certainly has been, and well, they've got enough teams in here to make that happen, and we'll see what happens in these final 25 minutes. This is us out of the final corner now for the restart, with German Sim Racing.de leading the way. Fusion Racing in second, third place Team Vikings Monnier, and fourth place is 4X with fifth place Samba Racing Team. It's time to go racing. They're not all in the same order, of course. Fusion Racing is actually sitting back in fourth. Race will be under the control of German Sim Racing's 151 car and Jens Ledwig for this restart. Pace car will pull off in just a few seconds time. 23 minutes left on the play clock, and he will go racing. The green flag will fly. We're back to live action here at Interlagos in the final moments of the race.
Here we go, and this is where Phil Blythe needs to really put the hammer down. I'm unsure. I still think the 151 does have a stop to be made so far, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Lots of traffic, lots of lap prototype traffic as well to make things difficult. It's very hard to get past these guys, especially because they're all fighting for position at the same time. But Fusion really have to try and get past these guys, get them out of the way quickly, and then get on to the hills of the 151 car. Same story for the 73 car, Team Viking Molnier, trying to find their way very quickly through this lap. Traffic is, it's almost free wide there, going down into T3. Not something you really want to do in a prototype, but they're going to be trying to attach themselves to the back of that Fusion Racing car.
Look who got through, Jimmy.
The 151.
59 car went flying through with Phil Blythe, got past all those lap prototype cars, and he's actually chasing after the race leader now, just up the road.
The low key is a couple of laps. Sorry, who? Sorry?
The 59 car of Fusion Racing.
Oh yeah, they've been through. They are in second place. All the people in front of them are just lap traffic at the moment, so there's no position change there. It's what we're looking at is now 59 versus 73, because that 73 car is really close into the back now of the Fusion Racing car. Traffic not proving to be declined to the 59 coming into turn 12. Again, both taking a very wide line through there, but we have seen the Team Viking car be a bit slow on the top end, so it might hurt them down the straight a little bit. More importantly though, the gap now to the leader, which was about 30 seconds or so before the caution, is now down to just over 4 seconds.
Certainly is, and we'll have to see whether they can make anything work with that one, and if they can change the way this race is going to play. 6.4 seconds between Fusion Racing and German Sim Racing, your leaders. We think German Sim Racing may need to splash and dash, so that could be a critical issue in this motor race. We'll have to keep our eyes on that.
Looks like Vendavel got past German Sim Racing.de as well, so you have Pekka Lamy in the car, and number 9 car has made the move on the 255 German Sim Racing and taken the lead in the GTC category. I'll have to see if I can find a replay and see where that was done. But
that was actually filtered through on the actual start rather than it being an issue on the racetrack, as we're actually quite a distance ahead of the German Sim Racing car. We'll enter that first straight as they head into turn number 5 behind the Bushfink blue GT3 car. They're of course running just a lap down from their class leaders. There's 49 Motorsports at the moment with Dexter Castro at the wheel. German Sim Racing's 3 car with Kevin Allman behind him in second place.
And it looks like the German Sim Racing.de car is now just having to contend with being or trying to unlap by one of the Bushfink cars. Looks like Marco Ricci in their car, Brittle they're throwing the cars. That's just struggling a bit of pace. The Bushfink car, obviously coming back from a lap down, just trying to take its place back again. We're going back now to prototypes. Line astern now. Phil Blythe trying to get into the slipstream of the car that's a lap down at the moment, but the car in front is actually going pretty quick. Gets off the brakes nice and early. That's the car through. Whoa, he let Team Viking through as well. No, he doesn't.
Turn 1.
Catches him out under braking. It seems the car to the outside slows down. Looks like he just puts the wheel onto the grass and the car goes round. Will be able to get back on circuit. No, he's having to wait. Well, he's back under race speed again, but he's lost that time. And I think that is Molnir's. That is race done now. There's no. You see, just come into the braking zone, just putting the wheel on the grass, and that car goes round. Nothing Nicholas can do about it.
Oh, great patience there from Nicholas Helm as he just waits on the track. And one of those worst feelings in motorsports, Jimmy, having to sit there on the track facing backwards, waiting for a gap to turn around, but he does just that. And no major incident in what could have been a disaster in turn number 1, but these HPDs have proven to be a little light on the brakes in that little dip towards turn 1.
Very easy to do, especially when you're braking a bit heavier than normal and you start turning the car in. Sometimes the car just doesn't react the way you want it to. And again, Nicholas being a bit of a victim of that at the moment. But now the fight is pretty much a two-way fight first between the number 151 car and the 59 Fusion Racing Machine. We'll have to keep an eye on that gap as they come across the line. But look how much more speed that German Sim Racing.de car. It's going to be very difficult to get past him if he does catch him.
It certainly will be. We'll have to see what they can do with that. The speed is huge. Of course, we'll keep our eyes on how that affects him, but German Sim Racing, the gap up to 7.3 seconds now, so it's widening out. Either they have to make a stop and they're very light on fuel here, Jimmy, or the German Sim Racing team has this one in the bag.
Maybe the case, but we'll have to wait and see. Like we won't know it until it happens. It's very difficult in that circumstance. I mean, again, from my memory, they haven't pitted for quite a while, and unless they're running on a very low setting, they're actually increased the lead as well to the Fusion Racing because they're up to 7 seconds now the gap. So a good lap there for Jens, maybe catching some traffic in a better place than Phil in the Fusion Racing car. The 4X HPD is still in contention as well. They're currently sitting in 4th place. Vincent Brahim at the wheel of that, not quite the same sort of speed as the leaders, but again, this 4X car seemingly coming from nowhere and find themselves on the podium with just under 20 minutes to go.
Change of position in your GTC class. Team Bushfink Red managed to get past the German Sim Racing 255 car, but they're coming back now as they run down towards turn 5 here with GT3 cars behind them.
To see him again, that 255 struggling a bit on pace, as we said before, and to the 237 Bushfink Red is coming back to get that overtake done. That's Nico Esquis at the wheel of that, and we've seen him be quick this race as well. And again coming out through turn 6 is nose to tail. The thing is, while this is happening, look who's just driving away at the front. Ewan Beckelamy is in that Vanderbilt car. I've not seen him drive a Vanderbilt before, an ex-core sim racing car. I'm not sure if he still drives there or not, but doing a good job here in the GTC Porsche.
He certainly is. Vanderbilt Racing, beautiful blue car. Looking absolutely beautiful on the racetrack, as I have no connection with painting that car whatsoever. Yes, maybe. But it's a great looking car. And that Porsche 911, absolutely fantastic. For painters in iRacing, beautiful template compared to the roof. iRacing did a fantastic job making that one usable for artists. Beautiful, beautiful work. As you know, they continue to make our lives a lot easier, Jimmy, with how they do these cars. The templates are getting better and better, more intelligent, and absolutely fantastic work on their end to make the sim a more vibrant place. Because not only does it allow us to do that, it allows us to have these races full of gorgeous liveries on different cars here. And no, I didn't paint all of them, but you know, we get races like this, another series where we see such a beautiful, vibrant field, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we have a crash.
Oh, a crash, 256 car. We talked to them, of course, in the interview. big tragedy there. I think that's the German sim racing machine. It is. But they're running again, so they're slow, but they're running.
If I get a replay of what happened there, showing
turn
that
one. It was
now.
turn one again, and they've got a replay for you. It was 3 wide into the first corner. German sim racing actually just safely going on the outside of the,
it was the Black Star
292 GT3 car, and Black Star came in like Miley Cyrus and a wrecking ball up the inside where there was no inside. Back put the GT3 car into the German sim racing 256, and well, that didn't go to plan.
No, that's something that's going to be investigated. I imagine that number 76 car just came barreling in and caused a bit of a chain reaction there, which is a bit of a shame. Back live now. The gap between your prototype leaders, your overall leader, is down to 6.4 seconds. Traffic now very heavy for Jens Ledwig at this time, and we're starting to run into the final 15 minutes of this race. We're getting quite close to it now. I'm wondering if Jens can make that car last to the end.
We'll have to see if Jens can do it. Jens Ledwig leading the way in the German sim racing 151. Can he hold on here and beat Fusion Racing? He might be easing off here just to save a little bit of fuel, we think, Jimmy. But he could be dealing with heavy traffic as well. That could be a factor. Fusion Racing themselves in clear air here, so a little bit easier for them to deal with traffic. We'll have to see what happens. But there's been some crazy happening in this race so far. We saw that just then with that run into turn one, but what's happening now is this is a fantastic battle we're seeing on the timing and scoring boards between German sim racing and Fusion Racing. And this is for the overall win. The gap went out to 5.3 seconds, so unless the German sim racing car is doing heavy fuel saving, they are having worse traffic than the Beltway at rush hour in America or the M25 around London at the same time, because they are stuck in a parking lot.
The Simitok car got really close there to the back of the 151 car. Simitok car being a lap down at this point, so hasn't really got anything to gain to try and go toe-to-toe with our leader at the moment. But obviously maybe looking to get that lap back. Maybe if there is another caution towards the end, it might be good, but we'll see. I doubt the 151 car is going to be keen to follow another prototype around, although there's him car off on the infield. That's a GT.
That was one of the bar stewards, I believe. That was Team Bar Stewards. I'm looking for their car in the listing. Road Bar Stewards black and white is Road Bar Stewards black. Yep, the 993 even. They had a spin for themselves and they've rejoined safely now, so that's all a good one. Replay for you there showing what happened for that car. This corner's bitten a few people so far, Jimmy. We've seen a number of cars going off here and it's definitely caused them some issues.
People just trying to get on the throttle as quick as they can, going downhill to the left, and then what happens is they end up...
that's actually contact. Did you see what happened there? That was the 237 car from GTC they hit. Bushfink Red.
Well, then, again, just a lot of cars coming towards them. I think people are starting to get a little bit desperate. We're getting to those last couple of minutes now, and people are sort of realising the gaps in front are something they're going to have to make up in speed, and they can't just now rely on pit stops, they can't rely on cautions. It's all now completely on track. This is the best part of the endurance race for me, where it all comes down to those last sort of those last dying minutes as Jens Ledwig manages to open up a gap a little bit more back to Fusion Racing, back up to nearly 7 seconds again. Traffic obviously ebbing and flowing at this point. And I need to go have a look at live timing because I really don't know when they pitted in last. I mean, if Jens gets his turn of the race on that fuel tank, I think he's done a fantastic job. But
we're looking at when he jumped into the car, and that was actually on lap 48, and we're on lap 92 now. I see a number of laps in the kind of things we can't tell when the pit stop was because of the timing we're seeing from the caution laps. We're seeing a lot of different laps here, so it's actually very difficult for us to actually be able to tell what was a genuine pit stop and what was actually caution periods or code 60 periods. So it's a bit of a struggle to work this one out, and we don't exactly know when they fueled, so we'll have to keep our eyes on this one and see what we need to see. I've just been asked in the YouTube chat, come on Jimmy/Rachel, fess up, how long were you saying bar stewards before this race so you don't say the other word?
I think you said it to me 10 minutes in, and then I started.
Yeah, we weren't, because I read the name in the race and was like, I'm not saying that on air. I will say bar stewards because that's more polite, and we are professionals here at RaceSpotTV, Jimmy.
Yeah, well, apart from the little teasers.
More importantly, it's before 9 o'clock, so I can't really say it, but
o'clock
Sim
somewhere.
Racing. Well, it's not 9 o'clock here yet, so that's why I'm not saying it. But the second 9 o'clock ticks by, I will say that name for that team, okay? So that will happen. But German Sim Racing leading 6.3 seconds to Fusion Racing in second place at the moment. The gap came down again, so Fusion pushing very hard. As yes, battle for third place. This is 4X and Samba.
Oh, Samba.
And it looks like they're going to tango.
I'm not quite sure what Bass was thinking there. He saw the guy in front make the move. He then stopped to let the GTC take its line, then thought, actually no, I want to do that too, and then almost ended up with an incident. And now the 4X car getting held behind the DTC car. Bass is going to go around the outside. That's going to run out very soon as the GTC car takes its line. Comes back to the inside now. A bit of a cloud of smoke there from another GTC car, undoubtedly locking its brakes, and the traffic really keeping these guys together. So the fight hotting up now for third place on your overall P2 class, just making their way through some traffic. And now the 4X HPD machine is going to have to put up with this GTC car coming down into the fast left-hander, just going to be able to slip past, I think, before the last corner, whereas Bass is going to have to wait. Oh, GTC car gets a little bit sideways. That would have been scary for the Samba Racing car. Let's have a look at these top speeds now, shall we? Let's see what sort of top speed the Samba Racing car has.
Certainly is. We'll have a quick look for Samba, and Samba's currently hitting, I believe, 161, 164 miles an hour, 167, 68. 170 before the breaking point. Yeah, 170 miles an hour is their top speed for them. 4X's top speed just before the braking zone. Have a quick look at this one was, I believe, 171. So just a hair's breadth faster there, Jimmy. Very evenly balanced.
And you saw when coming around to take that Audi there for lap traffic, a little bit hesitant on the way through. That's the difference between being like a very confident HB driver and being almost slightly on edge there. You have to really take that move. You can't wait for the DT car to sort of flounder around on the outside line and let you through. If you're going to take a line, let them know early you're going to take it, and then just do it. Don't wait for them to give you permission. But here we go then, coming up again to turn 7 now. Again, bunching up because of traffic into some mixed GT and GTC traffic here. So, and Bass is going to try and make the outside work, but he's going to come across the Audi very quickly. Not going to quite be close enough here. Both HPGs are going to be forced to go around the outside now of a 76 Black Star Racing car, which goes wide, almost makes contact. I think he did actually just graze before it's HPD, and then now Baz just having to get off the throttle again. He should have just made the over-under there. I think he's trying to just get too close, but now he's going to be deep in this fixture. This is now going to be the best passing opportunity for Samba Racing team that we've seen so far. Here we go then, just tucking in behind now the 4X71 car. We've seen this need happen so many times this race. Just with his HPDs with that high downforce punching a big hole in the air on the way through, but it doesn't seem to be gaining that quickly. Gained a bit of time there as the 4X car just goes to the outside, breaks the toe, and Baz has to wait behind another lap.
Would have probably pulled back out to the outside racing line for the entry if you knew you weren't going to make the pass in that corner there, Jimmy, but look how close he is now to Curva de Sol. Could be an opportunity for him now as he gets very close to the rear wing of that 4X HPD's back end. Looks to the inside, bit in the inside, he gets the move going in 5 and will complete the move for turn 6. Great pass there by Samba Racing and Baz Boenski.
Came from a way back there, did Baz, but luckily 4X saw him coming and had the sort of wheel up the line with his rear spoiler and turn in. So maybe could have been defended a bit better. I think maybe the 4X sort of gave that away and didn't really fight it too much, but a good drive from Samba Racing now back up into 4th place.
He is indeed, and Samba going to have to do what they can here to hold this one. Samba actually into 3rd place here over 4X, so that's a podium spot these guys are fighting for. One, I don't think they'll be giving up very easily. Just getting past Vendaval, Sim Racing White there with Juha Bekalami behind the wheel, your class leaders in GTC, ahead of the German Sim Racing 255 car. 49 Motorsports still leading in GT3, something we hadn't expected to see. German Sim Racing and AOD, we thought were going to be ahead of them. Oh, a spin in the first corner there, and it's a prototype. That, I believe, is the something 17. That's the, I believe...
That was the Bushfink Racing blue car getting caught up with that.
Bushfink involved as, let's see, I think 917 car there, sideways as WR Racing. Backwards in the first corner. They went to go up the inside of 2 of the GT cars and lost it under braking. That was seen so many times before. And spin that car, Jimmy. We've still seen this happen repeatedly. Now they're parking. There's a GT car parked as well. This is going to be a caution, maybe.
So
and this will end the race. This could end the race.
We have under 10 minutes left now, so a caution would be to the end of the race. We did hear the organisers say they wouldn't don't want that to happen. I'm not sure if these guys are rolling or not. I'm just seeing the Bushfink car, I think, going slowly on the inside.
WR Racing have moved the car, they've towed, but I think the race control are going to leave this one green, because that could have been a disastrous end if we ended under caution.
Still have a fight going on though between the SMT Racing guys and Team Bushfink. This is the battle we were going to look at. Or the fight's over now, I should say. So I think Hugo is spamming stuff at us in chat. Bad Hugo, get back to your bed. But
it's on the cameras.
They're still pretty close on track at this point. Of course, Alan McKay now a little bit of damage to that SLS, and plus with the SLS is an AMG, a little bit of damage to the AMG now, which is going to hamper his straight line speed, which is a real shame. But that seems to be that. But still
Jimmy, race control have just told us no more cautions to the end of the race. Race control are going to let this one play out green to the very end, regardless of what happens. So, no further yellow flags will be displayed. We will race this one out. 14 and the 23 are fighting, and this is back down in GTC. Have a quick look at what the times are like as we try and find them.
It's our friend Puffin Racing again. They're back, and this time having a fight with the Work in Progress Racing red car. Puffin Racing, at the moment, what's the last lap for these whip guys? 1:36 for them, 1:35 for James Hume ahead of them. So looks like the 14 car is running a little bit quicker, but these guys close on track, and a bad exit there from the Work in Progress Racing car. Just using quite a few car lengths, the car in front, which is not what he wants now, with only just under 8 minutes to go.
Yeah, it certainly is. 8 minutes remaining, and that'll be around maybe 7 laps, maybe 6 laps, the way this is playing out. The race for the lead is definitely not opening up. 6.3 seconds between German Sim Racing and Fusion Racing. We don't expect to see that change. It's down to 5.5, but it's going to require a mistake or heavy traffic for the 151 to really affect this one, Jimmy.
Will do, and we do have another battle back in our GTC class with Sim RC.D, Strawberry and Talk Freak Racing Brazilian at the moment, coming through the slow speed section. This is for 6th in class, or 7th in class at the moment, so I was right first time, it is 6th. And Leonardo Corti at the wheel of that Sim RC.de car, used to seeing him in a GT1 Aston. So
speaking of traffic, Jimmy, 151 in heavy traffic there, he got caught up, but we are looking, of course, at 381 and the 798. Things getting very, very busy on the racetrack. All these guys with huge numbers on their cars. I find this a little bit problematic. We're trying to find out who's here when we've got numbers from 1 to 1,000.
Good for us, but I guess, well, good for these guys anyway to have the numbers they want. But now that Sim RC.de Strawberry car is in the slipstream of the Talk Free car, going down to T1. Let's see, he's going to go to the inside, pulls to the left, dummy, sells him a dummy, goes to the right. Will he take it? Late braking though. Oh, the car on the inside, Talk Free gets it very wrong. Big rock up into there, slides the car, is on the grass on the inside. And Leonardo Corti will go through on the inside now, but now the 381 car, even with its hot tyres, will be in the slipstream going down to 798, or 798 car going down to turn 3. Will there be a reverse move? Here we go then, Talk Freak in the slipstream, waiting, and staying there, not opting to go for the pass there. So maybe George Gruber in that car, sort of understanding the tyres are now hot from that slide and leaving it for now and living to fight another day. Although the gap at the front is down to 2 seconds. No, it's in the pits.
Oh.
German in the pits.
Yes,
that's it.
he's had to pit.
Splash.
We knew that they might have to pit, Jimmy. We knew this was something that could have been an issue. We weren't sure when their last pit stop was. Obviously, it was further than we thought. He's actually heading back off pit road now. But that's it. He's thrown it away. Fusion Racing, they made their pit stop earlier on. We know that's why they dropped down the order from leading all day. And that's why they were so fast at the front. German Sim Racing was running basically on vapour there, Jimmy.
He did the best he could to keep that car running as long as possible, but you can't do the impossible. And the German Sim Racing DE car is now in the pits.
He's left the pits now, back on
track. So he has come to the pits and he's gone down a whole bit, and then now going off circuit now. Obviously, just a little bit missed having to take that, but that does mean that Fusion Racing has been promoted back into the lead of this race. Samba Racing to second, and 4X into third place. But these Samba Racing and 4X HPT, they're still together on tracks. This is now a battle for second place. The stakes have been raised, ladies and gentlemen.
It certainly has. Of course, we expected. Well, that was impressive, though, regardless of what position they finish in, Jimmy. 2 minutes remaining in the race. They nearly went for one of the longest stints we've seen in a prototype so far. Incredible fuel saving there, but to keep the gap as well, so impressive. But Fusion Racing with Phil Blythe is back out front in your prototype field. The gap back to the German Sim Racing team is, I believe they're next in line. They're not. They're in 4th, I believe, here. Samba Racing 13 seconds back, and Samba are still fighting with 4X. This is now a battle for 2nd and 3rd.
It is a second. The gap now from 2nd to 5th is only 5 seconds, only just 4 seconds about that, and obviously traffic will come into play as well. And we know this German sim racing car is fast. He's coming back onto the back of the Torque Free Racing Sunset car, which did have damage early on in the race. It seems to be fixed now. The straight line speed doesn't seem to be as bad as it was earlier on. But Jens is going to be the red message to send. The race win has gone away from him. This is now about damage limitation as he gets a little bit caught up with the DTC car, not quite clear which way it's going to go. Confused DTC a little bit and had to just take avoiding action at the last second. But now this 151 is the car to watch. He's going to be storming the best he can back up through the prototype field in what is only 3.5 minutes remaining left of this race.
Certainly does, and we'll keep our eyes on what's happening with German Sim Racing and Torque Freak. Is one of our closest fights, but it's also closing in now with German Sim Racing's 3 car in GT3 and 49 Motorsports in the class lead at the moment. They are not far apart. They are very, very close. So that one could change in the last few moments as we are heading, I believe, onto the final lap possibly here as
we've got a little while
crossed the 3-hour mark.
If our live timing's wrong, which sometimes it is, we still have a couple of minutes left according to that. I'm just
actually have a quick look. 2 minutes 50. So my live timing is completely wrong. We do have about 2-3 laps remaining, so this could all change for your GT3 lead. That's the big one that could change right now. German Sim Racing with Kevin Allman chasing down 49 Motorsports and Dexter Castro. They are right on top of each other. This could be everything.
Here comes the traffic now. This is where that decisiveness I spoke about earlier on is going to come into play. Jens Ludwig, yeah, he's going to go through now and make the move stick. Now he's going to be stuck behind a couple of GT cars coming through to the fast right-hander, but still going strong, still trying to carve through. Here we go, up the inside now, and look how close now. Those cars in front, those HBDs, they are for position, and Jens knows that. That's why you're going to see him make these moves. I think we're going to see some risk here from Jens. Oh, touches the back of the DTC car, obviously desperate to get back on the throttle. Meanwhile, it looks like the Samba Racing car has pulled out a little bit of a gap now, and now the fight for third is between 71 and the 181 car, the Torque Freak Racing Sunset car. It's obviously back up to full racing speed after its earlier incident, and it's going to have a good run now on the straight because the 4X car has to take a bit of a different line there as the GT car got out of the way. Here it is, Jake Robson, right on the back now of the 71 car. This is for third position. This was a podium position overall. Goes to the outside there. Almost forces the car into the pit lane there. Side by side going down the straight. Who has the more grunt? It looks like the 4X car is a bit more on the straight line. Will he go around the outside, braking heavily, trying to use the downforce? But no, not quite going to make it stick this time, Jake. But if you get up, no, you see there, this is the problem. You go for the outside move at T1, you then completely ruin your chances of doing anything into T3.
Certainly is. We'll see how this one plays down the order now as back to your GT3 field. German Sim Racing chasing now the car of 49 Motorsports. AOD thought they'd get this one back, but they will not, unfortunately. They're running back in the 3rd spot from having led most of this race. German Sim Racing are through turn 3. They're just entering turn 1. 49 Motorsports on the exit of 3, so a lot to play for there as we look for P3 overall, and that is between 4X and Samba and Torque Freak. You know, Samba's up the road, that's 4X and Torque Freak, and 4X have gotten past, but Torque Freak coming back as 4X is in a Torque Freak sandwich there between the GTC car and the prototype. Are they playing team games here? That's something I want to know.
Well,
4X trying to find a way through as they go to the inside, pushing them to the outside, but it pushes their sister car off the track as well. That was a mess if that was planned, boys, because you could do with practice and execution. Could have been random, but looking like Torque Freak will make a move here on the run up the start finish line. Definitely a better exit from the final corner. Defensive line by 4X, playing this one very safe, Jimmy.
Yeah, again, I think the traffic there wasn't any. I think the Torque Freak GTC car just didn't know what was going on, bless them. Lots of cars going around, it's hard to keep track of who's who. This is a better line from Jake. He's now going to be right onto the back of the car, coming out of 3. This should be now the last lap of the race, so this is all or nothing now for third place for Jake Robson, Torque Freak Racing. He's pushing the car down the straight, pulls out to the right-hand side. He's going to be blocked by the WRT GT car. He's going to go side by side, 3 wide into turn 4. No, not quite. But now the 4X car goes wide. He's going to be on the outside now going into turn 6. No, he just about makes a stick. He's passed. He's passed the 4X HPD car. Now coming up to turn 6. Anything can be done here? No. A bit of traffic in front though to to contend with, but it looks like Talk Freak Racing now has that done on the last lap of the race.
Certainly looks that way, as 4X Racing will do what they can here to defend this position. Here comes German Sim Racing on the back of 4X, but Fusion Racing have had a fantastic run today. Dominant power from them as they come out of the final corner now, up through the curving front stretch here at Interlagos, Brazil. First round of the 2017 DGFX series, brought to you by Sim Experience, will be won by Fusion Racing, Phil Blythe and Peter Smith in the car. Coming home in second place, Samba Racing will take it at the last moment with 4X.
Come here, drag to the line, Rachel. So drag to the line.
Past.
Here comes GermanSimRacing.de. Up the ends, up the SO. Talk Freak takes it on the line there.
He does.
On the line. There you go, fourth
fantastic.
Place. That's what I was saying about that straight line speed there. Jens Ledwig passed right on the line of the 4X car. That was something.
Absolutely fantastic finish there as the German sim racing car came out of nowhere and managed to just drag race past the 4X car as they cross the start finish line. RaceSpotTV photo finish there for the fourth place. What a finish, Jimmy, as the 59, the 49, the 9 we'll have a quick look at now. This is down in the GT3 field.
Just our leaders there coming across the line. There you go. It's just finishing now. So there you go. Dexter Castro takes that 49 Motorsports cars to victory in GT, holding off the German SimRacing.de car of Kevin Elman in the field there. So a good result there for the 49 car, and AOD Racing GT coming home in third spot. GTC, I think they're still
just coming across the line now. Actually, it'll be coming up the hill behind lap traffic is the Vendaval machine, piloted by Juha-Pekka Lamy, driven by himself and Juanji Lopez in this race. A fantastic, flawless run from Vendaval Sim Racing, leading pretty much the entirety of their class. Across the start-finish line they will come, winners in the inaugural GTC class for the Porsche 911. And Jimmy, I think this is the first major league series we've seen the 911 running in, so that's a first for Vendaval Racing.
It's good for them, and I think Juha-Pekka Lamy, obviously a new driver over there, settling in very well at Vendaval, taking obviously the victory there in the DTC class, and it has been an absolute blast from the race. We've had our cautions, we've had our low moments in this race, but it's been overall an exciting race, and the traffic round Interlagos, 60 cars put onto this small track, just makes for awesome viewing and awesome commentating.
It absolutely does, of course. At this point, Jimmy, a fantastic run. And, well, as it stands, that is our race completed. We will go to our post-race results now. Coming home with the victory, Fusion Racing with a fantastic run today. Samba Racing Team will come home in second place. Talk Freak Racing last up at the podium in third place for your prototype field. Winning in GT3 will be 49 Motorsports, with German Sim Racing's 3-car in second. AOD Racing come home in third after leading most of the race in their class. Vendaval Sim Racing White will come home with the victory in your GTC category and the first real run for the Porsche 911 Cup car. German Sim Racing takes second in class with Black Star Racing rounding out your podium. Rest of those results up on your screen. That was absolutely a fantastic race we've seen so far today. We actually have got, for a quick chat, Dexter Castro from 49 Motorsports. He took the car across the line. Dexter, you won in GT3 in the first round here of the DGFX series by Sim Experience. How do you and the guys feel?
Well, we actually feel absolutely great, because the level of competition this season has definitely stepped it up. It's going to be...
I believe we might have just lost Dexter Castro for a second there. We'll hopefully get a chance to chat to him again. Dexter, can you hear us?
Yes, indeed, I can hear you.
Sorry, can you just repeat what you just said? We might have had a little minor technical problem.
Oh, no problem. So yeah, it feels great. We weren't really expecting to be too much in contention for the win. We were just hoping for a podium with how competitive it's gotten. And this is by far the worst track for the BMW on the schedule. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's all the others are better, and it's not a track we're terribly comfortable with either. So to somehow manage the win is pretty amazing. It
certainly was for you guys, and hopefully on to round 2 at the Nürburgring will be another chance for you to be serious competitors in that one. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to for 49 Motorsports?
Yeah, well, yeah, just Rick Matek for letting us put letting us put their logo on the side of our car, and I think one of our members actually works for them. But yeah, thanks to them, and thanks to GSRC. But you guys are great as well. And yeah, thanks to all the guys at 49 Motorsports.
Well, awesome, and thank you for joining us, Dexter Castro. A fantastic run for yourself and the 49 Motorsports team, coming home with the win in your GT3 category.
Thanks.
Well, I believe we've also been joined by Griffin. It is Griffin Razzie from the AOD racing car. Sorry, podium finish of third in your GT3 category. Not the result you wanted in the end there, of course, Griffin, but you guys managed to at least pull a podium.
Yeah, well, I was in your TeamSpeak for the first interview. I didn't know we were penalized for entering the pits. I knew it was closed, but apparently they issue penalties for coming in. I guess we're just frustrated because we don't exactly understand why the rules are based around how many laps you spend on the track as a driver instead of how much time. I guess it really just doesn't make any sense to us. And on top of that, we were penalized. Instead, we would have started right behind Dexter Castro, and I think it would have been a much better race to the end.
It certainly could have been, but a podium result in the first round, at least a decent reward for you. So, of course, that's going to definitely carry forward to the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, let's hope. Hopefully they can change some rules and get stuff sorted out. I don't think it's fair or balanced how it is now, but I think they can make the proper changes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Griffin. And that was, of course, Griffin Razzie from the AOD Racing GT team, third in your GT3 category. Thank you, Griffin. Well, next up, we're going to have a chance to chat to Peter Smith from the from Fusion Racing's 59 car. Just hopping from TeamSpeak to Discord here to do interviews. Peter, a fantastic run for you, of course, and the guys. Very close at the end there. We thought perhaps German sim racing would have to pit. You weren't in the car for the final session, but how close did you think that would go?
Well, I thought, really thought they had us worried there. Really didn't think they had to pit at the end.
We don't seem to be hearing anything from Peter Smith on Discord, unfortunately.
Hello.
He's trying to talk to us, but we are
just
his light lighting up. Unfortunately, this is the problem of going between different technical systems for communication.
Hello.
Oh, Hugo
I am.
Can hear it,
Hello.
but I can't apparently. So I don't know why we're having weirdness.
Can you hear me now?
We'll hopefully try and have a chat to Peter again here. Peter, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome, we can actually hear you now.
Hey.
That's fantastic. As Peter, as I was just saying to you, I'll ask the question a second time. You obviously perhaps weren't sure when German sim racing might have to pit. How sure were you that they might have to?
Yeah, we really wasn't sure. I knew they hadn't pitted for a while, and I know how many laps you can do on a stint at full pace, but we had a lot of cautions in that last sort of hour of the race there, and yeah, it was close one thing. We were really worried, to be honest. They did an amazing job to get as far as they did.
You guys, of course, had the dominant car for most of this race. How did you particularly feel coming across the line in this first round? Is this a statement for the season for Fusion Racing?
I hope so. I hope so. We've got a very strong team for this series. We've pretty much a brand new team. So we're just building. We're in Neo as well this season, but we're obviously with Coanda and the Radicals and the pure racings in that is very tough. Best sim racers in the world in that series. So this so hoping this one will be our platform to push on.
Well, fantastic result from you and your guys. Peter, congratulations. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to for your win?
Just the rest of the team that couldn't show up today. So we got Neil Andrews, who's watching us on his iPad somewhere in the country. And yeah, that's about it really.
Well, congratulations on the win for Fusion Racing's 59 car. Thanks for joining us, Peter Smith.
Thank you.
And finally, we're joined by Juha Pekalami, come home today in the first place for Vendeval Sim Racing White. A win in the inaugural race, really, in terms of big-time league racing for the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, Juha. How does it feel to take what is probably a historic win?
Well, there was quite a lot of question marks before the race because, well, of course, we did our practice for the race, but because of the cautions and stuff like that, we really did not know what the tactics will be in the end. And yeah, it turned out to be quite well, and it's good that we got the title for the first race.
Well, a fantastic result from you and your guys, of course, and perhaps boding well for the 911 running throughout the season. Of course, heading to the Nürburgring, somewhere the car's actually been this week in official racing for iRacing. Looking forward to that one?
Yeah, of course, that's a very iconic track, especially for the Porsche. And yeah, it's great to work with the team. Great guys in there, and especially amazing job from Lopez for doing such a good pace in the race. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Absolutely fantastic. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at the end of this one?
Yeah, shout out for Vendeval Sim Racing, Crypt TV Nation, the Twitch on the Twitch stream, and my mother, of course.
Well, there you go. The best shout outs, and probably the first time I've heard a sim racer actually give a shout out to his mother. So good on you, Pekanami. So thank you for joining us, of course, from Vendeval Sim Racing White, taking home the victory in GTC today.
Thank you very much.
And finally, we have got an interview with Talk Freak Racing Sunsets, Jake Robinson. Jake, that was busy.
Yeah, very busy indeed, especially the final section. I'm extremely surprised we got the result we did.
You certainly did, and certainly a very active one, some very heavy racing at the end for you guys. Did you think you might actually hold that position after the damage you sustained earlier on?
Well, from the damage earlier on, we knew it was going to be difficult. The caution that we got was very, very lucky for us. When we was able to pit, it was about 40 seconds of optionals, I believe. That helped us back a lot. It pretty much restored the car to where it was previously, and then we could just push to the end.
Sorry, minor technical issues still persisting in this one, but of course, the Nürburgring, different track to Interlagos. Are you perhaps hopeful for a better result there?
Well, it's going to be a difficult one for sure. It's going to involve a lot of just keeping it alive, I guess. It's going to be the multi-class is going to be interesting because it's not going to be. It's maybe an hour, maybe until we actually catch the back of the Porsches. So yeah, it might not work great for multi-class, but in terms of pure racing in each class, it could be pretty good. Yeah.
Well, it'll certainly make it interesting, and you've got 6 hours to do it in. So hopefully, you guys will have a great race. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast, to all the guys at TFR for all the setups and everything that we've been working on recently, and to the guys Kyle, Sven, Elliot at DGFX for doing all of the organising.
Well, thanks for joining us. Jake Robinson from Talk Freak Racing Sunset, coming home today in 3rd in the prototype class. Thanks for joining us, Jake.
Thank you.
Well, Jimmy, a fantastic round today for the first round of 2017 DGFX Endurance Series here, powered by Sim Experience. We've had a great 3 hours here in Interlagos. It's been brutal. It's been close quarters fighting. This has been more of a cage fight than a motor race. What a way to start a season.
And we were saying at the start of the broadcast that Interlagos just breeds this sort of racing. It's a very close, very narrow circuit, and when you put 60 cars in there over 3 different classes, well, you can expect to have a bit of drama. And we did have today, as well as some very good close racing, which I hope will be covered into, will continue, into the next round.
We certainly do. Well, that is all from us today at RaceSpotTV. You can catch the next round of the DGFX World Endurance Championship 2017 and they head to the Nürburgring in a month's time. I've been Rachel Wyford. I've been joined by Jimmy Broadbent. You can see us next time. Have a great night.